Greetings and welcome to Unveiling Reality. How's everybody doing out there this evening? Hope you're all doing and living well. Hold on a second. All right, let me start out this evening, as always, by thanking all this awesome people in the Winner Circle who support the channel on a monthly basis. Thank you so much for all you do, and thank you for being part of the solution. Also, big thanks to Shelly and Wolfram who support us over on Rumble. You can do that too. We are broadcasting live tonight on Rumble X and YouTube, and away we go. Tonight on Unveiling Reality, we will go deeper down the UFO alien Grift rabbit hole as we explore the competing narratives of Stephen Greer and Ross Coulthart of NewsNation, who seem to be the proprietors and claiming these whistleblowers are part of their team. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who's grifting who? And what else is going on out there in the world of this narrative? We need to start off by, of course, examining how this all got started, and we'll do that here in just a minute. But first, let me thank this awesome crowd that's out here. Where are my VIPs in the front row? We got Heidi. What's up, Heidi? How you doing there? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. And we got from my friend. How you doing? Thank you for dropping these links. Remember, when you're here, always listen to the wolf. He wipes his paws, he lopes in, and he howls. And that's how you know the alpha mod is in the house. We got Captain Kern. Evening, Captain Kern. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Shelly's out there somewhere. She'll be popping in a second to give big hugs to everybody as they come rolling through the door. And remember, as you come in, to make sure you say hello so I can say hello to you. And thank you for being here in the front row, each and every one of you. I appreciate it. We are off and running. And what we're going to do tonight here is start out by taking a look, kind of retracing our steps a little bit. Hold on a second, real quick. Let's retrace our steps here and how this all got started. Remember the end of 2024? Wasn't that long ago. And that at this mass sightings of supposedly mass sightings of unknown aerial phenomena, but people had no doubt in that time it was drones. Well, this week, of course, she's here. There she is. Trump came out as promised, promises made, promises kept, and told us what the deal with the New Jersey drones were. As we said, when we covered on Winning Tonight with the first press conference of Caroline Levitt, that Trump said that these were commercial use drones, and people, that means people that were using them for commercial use and consumer use, people just playing with their new drones for Christmas. And the mass hysteria kicked off an entire spin of narrative. Of course, this didn't cover what we were seeing over military bases. And as we talked about in our Drone Apocalypse 2024 series, that those were narratives that needed to be separated. And that was not something the mainstream media or even new media was doing. They were glopping them all together. And that was not the way to handle true root cause analysis. And that's what we do here. So we had to separate those out. And we also had to separate the grifts out too. It wasn't revelations. Obviously, we're all still here. And we don't see no aliens yet. But at that time, the opportunist out there made the best of that moment to get their attention-based content out there. And of course, right on schedule, Dr. Stephen Greer appears with an addendum to his ongoing disclosure story, and a disclosure story that's been going on decades and never, ever, ever gets completed, no matter who's in charge, no matter who he says he talks to, no matter how many times he says we got to do this or do that, or threatens us that the aliens are going to come get us if we don't stop. Tonight, we're going to look at the competing narratives, and we're going to ask the question still again as we continue to keep an eye on these two seemingly competing, but at some point seemingly colliding narratives. In one case, you have these whistleblowers that are coming out on NewsNation via Ross Coulthart, the grifter from down under, on NewsNation, and he is swearing up and down that these whistleblowers are 100% accurate, and he believes them. And while their credentials do check out, doesn't necessarily mean they're telling you the truth. I have checked into these guys, and we're going to listen to a new interview that came out, one that he put out to kind of validate his stance with Jake Barber, the Eggman. You know, the Eggman, cuckoo. There you go, the Eggman. We covered that as well. But this guy claims he was abducted by aliens. Quite a resume on this guy, and I need my military, my veterans that are in the chat tonight to really chime in on this guy, and pay close attention to the things he says, and because he's a lieutenant colonel, retired lieutenant colonel, he does check out as far as his credentials go. It doesn't mean he's, like I said, doesn't mean he's telling the truth about things, or he hasn't joined the grift. And I want to have some more insight on that for you guys from actual military and veterans, and active and veterans, as many as I can get to come comment on it, at least, about this phenomena of people that are ex-military then going into the world of conspiracy, UFO conspiracies and alien conspiracies. Have you met people like this? We'll ask some questions as we get to that part of the show. And then we're going to look at Stephen Greer's latest podcast. If I don't run us over on time, because I keep commenting on ridiculous things I see and hear, and pointing out fallacies and pointing out inconsistencies in the story, that we run across, as we often do when we cover these topics. That's why they're so much fun, because the ridiculousness is there if you just slow it down and you just remain open-minded and skeptical at the same time, which is one and the same, really. So he is, hold on one second. He is really coming out and starting to sound like, Stephen, in one case, I'm here to warn you. He's trying to warn us. Grimm's Bar, what's up, my friend? Good to see you. I have to always stop and say hi, Grimm's Bar. What's up, my friend? Can the answer be no if I fit the bill? I suppose it's know thyself. Oh yeah, you got an alien story for us? You want to come grift? Get in on it, man. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it. In fact, I'm thinking if something happens to Greer, I'll just pretend like all of a sudden he came to me and told me to carry on his work, and I'll be a multi-millionaire too. Yeah, I can carry that story like you wouldn't believe. I know it so well. You guys see me every week. I'm up here every time I cover this topic. I know things he's going to say before he says them a lot of times, and these are things that I haven't pre-reviewed. I'm going by, yep, here comes this. Yep, here comes this. Yep, here comes this. We're talking about a decade or more of study on this topic. That I've been trying to, when you're trying to understand the world of mind control, which is really what Unveiling Reality is about, this program's about, you investigate and you go and you absorb yourself and you think critically, and you do root cause analysis, and a lot of different types of things that people buy into, like different types of belief systems that people buy into, right? Well, this one's huge, right? You want to, one, were they telling the truth? Is this where the truth lied? I had to figure that out, right? And two, if not, how do they get so many people to continually buy into it? What are the things that they're doing? What are the techniques that they use? And how can I unpack those and teach those to other people so that they will not fall victim to it and discredit themselves or come off sounding like, insane? Because that's what these guys don't care if you do. They're out for themselves, or they really believe it and they're just grifted themselves. Now, in this case, we have two competing but colliding narratives, right? Where Greer says that these whistleblowers are part of the people that he's been talking about. However, here's the interesting thing. They never appear with Greer. They always just appear with Ross on NewsNation. So does Greer have inside information on these guys? Does he actually know them? Or is he just getting fed information, which he then creates a narrative behind to grift on the grift? Is he a grifter? I don't know. But we're trying to figure that out, and that's why we like to watch these things. Are very interesting. But again, back to the root here. in that these New Jersey drones, Trump came out and said commercial use and hobbyists, right? And then that led to mass hysteria as people using the internet to gain clicks, views, attention, and maybe just try to for people who are confused and started looking up in the sky, going, oh my god, what are these, everybody asked the same question. And then the government helped out by, and the media helped out by not telling people right away what it was, building that anticipation. Then you had some false narratives coming out of the Defense Department that was to manufacture consent for legislation, right? Deep state kind of like establishment stuff, legislation that would again give them the rights, as Rand Paul blocked so well, give them the rights to collect data on us, right? And implement technologies that may be invasive that we need a little bit more time to look at and discover. We also found out that these sightings had nothing to do with the reported sightings over our military bases. We separated that narrative out, as I spoke about earlier, and that's still one that needs to be discussed. However, likely not one that the public will be allowed to discuss anytime soon, as that type of intrusion, whether it's us doing penetration testing ourselves with our own technology, or a foreign adversary saying we got your number and we got your technology, so take that. We don't know what that could be. I think at a later date we'll dive back down on that topic and look at it very closely, because I do have some points I'd like to make about that. Is that I think that I'm leaning more towards it's us testing ourselves and away from foreign adversaries trying to spy on us, as the risk reward of such activities from a foreign adversary is low. And there's nothing they really can't learn from us without drone, and they can always get snapshots, but they know what these things look like. There's satellite maps, but there's also, they want to know where these planes are. That plane, good luck. Try to attack us. Good luck. Try it. Go ahead. Now, no one's gonna. We're Americans, damn it. No one's gonna try to come in here and do that shit with us, man. Not unless we're falling apart. And right now, we are coming together and unifying and getting stronger by the minute with this new administration. Today, more hearings went down, more people confirmed. But all that tomorrow night, or tomorrow night on Winning Tonight, and tomorrow for breaking news as we cover the Kash Patel hearing. Yes, it is tomorrow. The sparks will fly. And they flew today too for RFK Jr. And I thank everybody that came to that. But again, sir, getting back to the root here, those drones in New Jersey certainly set off a lot of hysteria and mania. And we did do I think I did a really good job at root cause analysis on that, and kind of I think we pretty much at least filtered out that part of the narrative, and that's what it came out to be. That's what Trump said. It was nothing to be worried about. It was just people flying it. And I got some stuff here to start out with to kind of take us back to that point about 2 weeks ago, before Trump's disclosure, right? Trump did disclosure, and when Trump discloses, that's the real deal. Of course, I asked the question before Trump disclosure, when he promised, what's going to happen when he comes out and says what people don't want to hear, when he says the truth and it's not what they want it to be? Are they going to turn on him? How are they going to cover their asses when they put their asses on the line on their speculative, unsubstantiated narratives and their quote unquote whistleblowers who come out with egg videos and other silly stuff like that? A lot of stories, no proof. That's the way it is. Flat earthers travel around the globe to discuss aliens in the firmament. Yeah, right? Tim's got it. Hang on. All right. So I want to take us back. All right. And we're gonna start off this evening by doing that. Then we're gonna go into the back and then forward. And I got a a very special person to come in here and really lay down some based takes on it. And it's a guy that you haven't seen here before, but you probably know who he is. This guy could be Max Muir's father for all I know. I'm not sure, but when I bring him in, you'll know who I'm talking about. And we're gonna see some cope from places like NewsNation and people who have really thrown in on this narrative post-Trump disclosure. All right. And then we're going to go into the News Nation interview. This one came out 3 days ago. It's part of Ross's entire narrative, and it's this guy that he brought in. He's been around before, but this guy he brought in, Lieutenant Colonel John Blitch. All right, real dude, resume checks out, all that shit. So like I said, that's what I'm going to ask my military folks in the crowd to chime in. But real dude. And why is he coming out with the story? And you'll see as his story evolves, as he starts to tell the story, where it goes. And I think at this point, this crowd, and other people that may be joining us are very sophisticated to the point where they can start to see where things slide off the rails, right? And then after that, we're going to check in on Stephen Greer's podcast number 4. I'm calling this the blue shirt podcast because he's wearing a blue shirt. But this is where he kind of slides off the rails a little bit too. And this is interesting because every time these guys vary off their narrative, they open another potential can of worms. And I like to pay a close attention to that and help people that are kind of like learning how to question these narratives, not just buy in hook, line, and sinker, but actually are interested in understanding what these guys are doing and how they're doing it and how they're making. You got to understand, Stephen Greer is net worth $6.6 million. He didn't get that by being an emergency room doctor, guys. All right. He didn't get that. He didn't get there. Every dime of that, I guess, I don't know if he's got family money or not. I'll disclaimer there, right? But every dime of that is come on the backs of grifting people about UFO disclosure. That has never happened to this day. In fact, the closest thing you've had to disclosure, right, coming out of the government is Trump talking about the drones. So let's get into that right now. So let's go back about 2 weeks. This is a quick little 10-minute, right? A little quick little 10-minute video here. Winning speed coming up, so it's less than 10 minutes. We're going to go back just to remember how the hysteria gets built up by people like Greer and others, and people like Newsmax and News Nation and this Finarity. Who is this guy? What's this dude's name? Anyways, Stephen pointed people on his X profile to this interview. That's what helped me find it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have seen it. Finarity must be Finnish. The best grifters get into politics. What's this Jenny? Is Jenny in the house? Why is everybody singing Jenny tonight? Today. I got some. Oh, here we go. Heidi's singing it. I got you. All right. Yeah, I got your number. I'll call you when I get home. All right. I'll call you when I get home. All right. Well, hey, man, like I said, I played that song many times. It's a lot of fun. Hey, where am I at? I'm over here. I'm way over here. But anyways, so I want to take us back. And Finarity on January 10th had Stephen Greer on there to stir up a bunch of mania and mayhem. And listen to the way he's talking, right? Remember what Trump has told us already. And then we're going to go see a based explanation, and then we're going to see some cope, and then we're going to get into the interview on News Nation between Ross and Lieutenant Colonel Blitch, man. All right, here we go.
Circulating right now on the internet. Dr. Stephen Greer is back with us. He's the founder of happening in the skies all over the world. Mysterious drones now being reported over parts of 50 states and in countries across the globe. And if you followed this story even just a little bit, you'll realize that what people are seeing and recording, this is not stuff that comes from this planet. And the complete silence on this topic from our government has only added fuel.
You'll realize. Finarity says, you'll realize it. Because if you just look at it, you will realize it. You're realizing it now. You're starting to realize it more as you listen to me, your trusted news source.
To the many theories that are now circulating right now on the internet. Dr. Stephen Greer is back with us. He's the founder of the Disclosure Project. Dr. Greer has been consistent with us for weeks that there is a disclosure coming before the presidential inauguration, which now leaves us with 10 days. Dr. Greer, it's great to have you back. This is where
he's still pushing it out there. Now, keep in mind, the disclosure he's talking about happened on News Nation without him. So again, we're asking the question. Let's keep our questions in mind as we go through this. Is Stephen Greer grifting the grift, or is he really part of it?
Where we are right now. A flight crew on a commercial airplane recorded this.
Oh, that's a
large
big fuck
orb
yes.
in the skies while they were at 17,000
Greer
feet.
is so
And now people, we
discredited.
mentioned this a week ago, are
That
reportedly
guy
getting
has
sick
nothing
all over the
ever come
world
true that he
from this
says.
granular, mysterious fog that's being seen all over the place.
Right.
Does this disclosure happen next week?
There's a star
And if it does, how does it happen? When it starts
light-
happening, how will we know?
artifact.
Well, it'll be all, all over the news.
But that's a
Good to see you
star.
again.
We went through a whole thing where I disclosed. I got a video on. It's a very short one on the orb thing, and like it's just people with telescopic lenses focusing in on blurring them, and so a lot of times they're focusing in on stars and planets, and they give off this weird look when you do that. They've been out on the internet forever, by the way.
I just heard an hour ago from the we call it
It's an orb. It makes
non-official
no sense.
cover aerospace intelligence community, a senior operator from one of the key two black sites out in the western United States, and they're
Talking about
going
Barber.
to do this next week. I don't have an exact date. They intend to not only provide their testimony of operations, he's been there almost 30 years, but also the evidence and other details. Now, he's been involved in two things. One is the testing and the surveillance of the man-made UAPs that have been manufactured out of the Lockheed Skunk Works and Northrop Grumman complexes
This is
out
Skunk
in the
Works
high
again.
desert. The other is the targeting of non-human craft. Some would say extraterrestrial, some say alien. The words they're using now is NHI, non-human intelligence, and the downing of those objects. So he's been intimately involved. I've been at his facility, and that is on track. Now, keep in mind, so much of what is being seen now is sort of a decoy false flag operation, sort of trying to intercept what he's going to be doing and what we've been doing for some time. And
but there's no way, Dr. Greer, we've talked about, there's no way all of this can be a false flag. It's all over the world now. It's being seen over cities in India, cities in South Korea. It's just the coordination that would be required to do something like that. I think it's beyond the scope.
Do you see how he conflates things? You see how he's pulling in other countries and what's going on there to try to say it's part of this? That's another part of the way people manipulate you. That's how they do it. I mean, but that's just an idiot's take, that you would take something that's all the way on the other side of the world without even showing anything, without even finding a way to keep an eye on it or connect it, that they would somehow be part of the same thing, right? So that's just him. Really, believe me. Okay, am I back? Hold on a second. I got a connection deal going. Here. Hold on. All right. So here we go. Okay. So he has no evidence of that. He's just saying it, right? But he's trying to make it seem like it is for the sake of his guest here, yes.
Unless there is something going on that I'm completely unaware of, which of course is a possibility.
Yeah, it's a big possibility because you didn't do any research.
Questions. These are just yes or no's.
You're
are
interviewing.
aliens
You're not
already
researching.
here. Yes or no?
Oh, sure. I mean, there have been non-human extraterrestrial
no proof, never produced any proof, never has had any proof.
Civilizations have been observing the planet for thousands of years, and it increased remarkably once we detonated the first atomic bomb. There's no question about
that's always been his kick about the first. Hey, Scott, what's up, man? What's up? That's always been his kick. I got to let him go because I tend to just drop him every line he says because it's always bullshit coming out of his mouth, and started giving the backstory on it or commenting on it. We got to get through this, or we'll never get to the rest of it.
In fact, this particular team coming forward have dealt with the remains and on occasion living non-human life forms that have been downed, and some are still in captivity in subterranean facilities or STIFs.
Okay, so this is what I think is happening. And what the analysis is here about, what this analysis is about, right, is Greer just grifting the other network? Is he grifting Ross, right? Is he grifting that thing? Because I believe that what they're doing, what Ross and them are doing is a grift in itself, right? We've kind of broken that down and proven that. But Greer seems to take what they're doing, he said crash retrieval, and then add to it. Like the whole thing with Barber, right? We watched the whole interview, watched the live disclosure thing, we watched all that stuff. He never mentioned that part, right? And so Greer's way of getting around that is by saying, well, we're just doing and testing the water, dipping our toes in the water. He comes up with all this bullshit line, right? And he adds his own stuff to it that helps then go back and reinforce his existing narrative, pre-existing narrative of disclosure, right? So that he's been grifting on for a decade. So I think that he has some knowledge. I think what I'm seeing right now, and you guys let me know. And this is the topic of the night, by the way, not any other topics here. We are, you let me know if you think that he is, if he's got some knowledge of this and he's just kind of adding to it to give him a place in this narrative, since he's being excluded and never mentioned one time on NewsNation, Ross Coulthart, and any of the other guys that are been doing interviews, and never mentioned him as part of the team. He seems to think they're best friends. So is this a, you know, again, the big question tonight is this a grift or grifting a grift? Or is this the fact that we haven't got the part where Steven enters the story yet? Their stories are constantly conflicting. And that is I think probably the most interesting thing going on here. It seems to be like a grifter battle going on. Hey, cool gamer,
Dr.
what's
Greer
up?
Feels like, and you answered my other question. It feels like right now the public worldwide is being primed for something. You know, for the last 50 years, we've had movies about aliens. Going back to Roswell, we've had reports of flying saucers. And now people, not just in northern New Jersey, are seeing strange things in the sky. It seems like these beings are technologically far superior.
He's already gone ahead and jumped the shark and decided it's beings. You know, he's got Stephen Greer on there. He's already done it.
Superior than we are. And they're doing this with incredible patience, priming a worldwide audience for something else. Do you agree with that? And then what are they priming us for?
Well, it's very complex, but the bottom line, it is they've been waiting for humans to acknowledge their presence so that they don't have to force into it, which could look.
Again, this is where Steven just sucks, man, because he doesn't even remember the shit that he said before, right? He doesn't even remember the stuff he's already said. Oh, we're shooting down to a year, he'll change his story. So the reason why we're doing the backstory on this is just to remember where he was at this point 2 weeks ago. And then when we listen to his most recent podcast, you're going to see how this gets altered, right? And how he obviously a lot of times contradicts himself as he moves forward in all this. Enya Myers, what's up? Snipe, what's going on? How you doing over there? It's like the fake Navy SEALs. They don't care. They don't dare call out the other fakers. Oh, Jesus. Right?
Aggressive, because they're not aggressive, obviously.
Force into it like land in Times Square, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to do something like that. They're going to do a sort of an acculturation and desensitization operation.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Which means it's gradual.
Okay.
And it has been over the decades. Now, the big problem here
Nothing will ever come of
military-industrial complex operations that have reverse engineered these extremely advanced technologies.
All right, so now he's going to go into the narrative. So we kind of know where he's going to go with this already. Just because, let's see, we've already heard him say this. He's got the same suit on, I think, that we listened to a podcast on 2 weeks ago. But again, let's see, 2 weeks ago was that almost the 15th? What was that? Let me see, 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So this is the night that we did our first kind of like disclosure day. Was here. We did a deep dive on it. So a little bit more.
And can use them in staged event. And this is where everyone.
So he's saying the drones that we've been seeing are the the underground rogue military corporate guys, and they use them to stage it to make us fearful of aliens. That's what he's saying, right? All right. So let's switch out of this, because we're going to hear plenty from Steve in the night, and he'll probably repeat himself about 100 times. You know how this goes, right? You know how this goes. All right, let's put him down there. Let's move it on around here. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, here's the guy I promised you.
World-renowned theoretical physicist.
This is post-Trump disclosure, right? And like I said, now they have to be like, they begged for it. They said it. Steven said he has prepped and he's debriefed the incoming transition team, so they have all the information. He's sent all this stuff into Congress. He's done all these things that he never proves, right? But he said he's done this. Yet when disclosure comes out, when Trump gets in, he goes, "I don't know why they aren't telling you. They should tell you. It's ridiculous they don't tell you, right?" So he comes out, says the truth of what it is, and something we already figured out on our own, but yes, that's what it is, right? And here is Michu Kaku, a guy who regrets probably ever talking about class 5 civilizations and stuff, because Greer has grifted his words so many times. But I have a feeling Michio Kaku doesn't think too highly of Stephen Greer. Take a listen to what Michio Kaku has to say, renowned scientist and high IQ person.
World-renowned theoretical physicist. Michio Kaku, he is the author of the book Quantum Supremacy. Thanks very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. So what do you think of these theories about the drones sniffing out potentially radioactive material?
Well, in my opinion, this whole crisis took place actually in September of last year. At that point, the government made a historic decision to make it legal for people who own a drone to fly them at night. Before, there were restrictions on the use of flying drones, but after that September decision by the government, everybody began to say, I have a drone. This is going to create a stampede. I can impress my friends. I can shoot drones out there. And that's what happened. And then the government made it worse by saying, A, that these things are harmless, but B, they don't know where they come from or what they are. How do you know that?
You see that? That's just lights on a plane, and they're just zooming in. They're just blurring the focus on that. That's all it is.
Something is harmless unless you know what it is and where it came from. So I think this crisis is self-inflicted. It's basically the government shooting itself in the foot, realizing, oh my God, we opened the gates. A whole stampede of amateurs are now flying these drones out there,
Angry
at night. And the government doesn't want to admit that they are in the process actually at fault in terms of creating this confusion.
Really interesting. What do you make specifically, though, of the theory by some that the drones could be, sniffing out radioactive material from the ground?
I doubt it. Radioactive radium, for example, is only found commercially in very small quantities, and the radiation doesn't go very far. You're talking about alpha rays and beta rays, which only go a few feet. And so there's simply not enough radium to alert people that there's a danger involved. And just realize that the aliens, if there are up there, probably have their own supply of radium. They don't need to use the radium that's found in trace quantities here on the planet Earth for medical reasons.
What do you make of the fact that the House Intel Committee got a briefing behind closed doors, right? It was
just a real quick, guys, you're out there, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button. That's the base button, the one that points up. If you're base, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not based, hit the thumbs down button, but just interact with it, because that helps build the engagement and get us out there further. And I appreciate your engagement, however it comes across, whether you're based or not. Thank you so much for the engagement. I appreciate it. And especially over there on Rumble, man, we're counting on you guys, because that's how we get out in the algorithm. Do that for us, and we rock and roll. Thank you guys so much. Let's keep going.
One that was done in secret. Do you think that's also helping to fuel the conspiracies?
Definitely. I think the government's trying to cover up the fact that they bungled it. They don't want to admit the fact that they let the cat out of the bag, and all of a sudden these drones are being flown by amateurs by the thousands, and the government bears some responsibility for that. So I think the government is trying to find ways of covering its butt and basically disguising the fact that this is a self-created crisis. It didn't have to be this way. They didn't have to allow the unregulated use of drones at night.
Yeah. And you think what would you think? If you were advising, would you tell them time to reverse that policy?
I think that these drones should be regulated. Yeah. There's no reason why people can't have fun. But if they have fun right next to an Air Force base or right next to a commercial airlines base, you're going to have people saying that we're going to shoot them down.
Yeah.
So I think this has to be regulated. And right now,
the gates, a lot of hysteria to build, right?
Gates are wide open. Anyone who wants to can buy a drone, and they too can say, yes, I see flying saucers in my backyard.
Yeah. Dr. Michio Kaku, thank you so much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased
There we go. That's better. Okay. So there we go. There's that one. Now,
Ross, it's always good to have you.
Here is Ross Coulthart, and we're going to go into his interview with Lieutenant Colonel Blitch next. But this is the COPE report here, where he's been putting all this time, effort into building his show around this, belief in these whistleblowers and this belief in this alien wreckage crew that comes out there and gets alien wreckage, and they've seen it and they swear by it, and it looks like a freaking egg. Remember that guy? Remember that? So yeah, so this is post-Trump disclosure right here, right? And let's hear how they cope with this. Let's take a look.
So the FAA lifted this temporary ban, and now these drones are back. Are you surprised?
Oh yeah, so surprise, guys. They lifted the temporary ban and the drones are back. Oh, it's like the like the aliens or the foreign adversaries or whoever. They do what they want to do, but they listen to the FAA. If the FAA says no flying, they're like, well, we can't fly. The FAA said we can't fly. Shazbot, right?
Or were you expecting this?
Oh, good morning, Marky. Look, the simple fact is they're like the Thanksgiving and Christmas guests that never left. The story's saying
gifts that people got, you mean, right? You grifter.
The story suggesting that there was a decline in the drones is nonsense. You've only got to talk to New Jerseyites and New Yorkers. They say these things never left the skies. And as those mayors are saying, there are still hundreds of them every night over these neighborhoods. And all they want is answers, because the FBI has basically said it doesn't know what they are.
Yeah.
And
so did
listen to it. He can't let it go, man. That's what happens when you jump the shark. Now you got, unless you are strong enough to humble yourself and be like, you know what, I got that one wrong. You know what? This is why I was misled, and this is how I got to this conclusion. But now I have the truth, and it's better to know the truth than be right. Right?
How the government?
Did the band do anything?
No,
Ross?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So he's trying to play down the band. He's trying to play it down.
Think so, and the government.
She just told him that they're back.
It's as simple as that, and the public want answers, and indeed, the new president has promised to deliver one. So let's hold him to that.
Do you think this story has now reached such a fever pitch that you have all these private
one day ago
owners?
1 day ago, dude, Ross, buddy, Ross. It was just maybe this was done because he's Australian. Maybe this was done before the press conference. How do you not know that he's actually said it now?
Who are just adding to the chaos because they know that it's going to rile up local residents, media headlines. Okay. Is that what we're looking at here, you think?
Well, Marky, I can tell you that the FBI has been trying very hard to capture one of these drones.
How can you tell us that? You don't know that. This guy is so full of shit, man. And he doesn't even tell an interesting story. So maybe he's got a lot of it over there. We're not talking about Trump or AI tonight, dude. If you want to come back for tomorrow night on Winning Tonight, when we talk about politics, man, no problem. You're gonna come here and talk about Trump while we're talking about this. Probably not the night, dude. Anyways, let's check this out right here. Let's see what else he says.
They've been trying to bring them down. They've been trying to find the source, and they've failed. So if somebody from the neighborhood was putting up just a standard drone, they've been doing it very cleverly because the best resources of the US military and government have been unable to catch them. And that's why people are concerned. They describe objects that are 5 feet wide. In some cases, they appear to be changing their shape. They're doing all sorts of weird, anomalous things, and all the public want is answers, because they're concerned, whatever the government says and denies, they want answers, and they're concerned that it's a national security issue. And I noticed on the weekend, Senator Schumer, the former Senate Minority Leader, Democrat for New York, he also said the drones are back, and he too wants answers. He suggested the new president needs to explain what's really going on.
Yeah, a lot of people looking for that report that we were promised within that first day of being back in office. You bring up
we got it. So I guess these people are behind. All right, so we got that. I'll keep an eye out to see what their cope is. I thought when I first listened to this, that's what it was, but I cover a lot of content and I must have missed that part. So no problem. We'll just keep on moving here. Let me just click over to their page real quick and see if they actually have responded to this. But I tell you what, man, old Ross, he won't stop. He won't stop with this narrative, man. Let me see if these done live. No. All right, cool. Videos, NewsNation. Yeah. So let's see if he actually does respond to it. I felt like we had something. Oh, here we go. It's going to premiere at 5 p.m. tomorrow. So, okay. So NewsNation, Ross's response, that narrative's response, his crew, including the New Jersey mayor, who I guess will be on the show, the guy who came out and said that it was radioactive material they were searching for, which is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, we're New Jersey mayor on Trump's drone response. We're not accepting this anymore. All right, I'm clicking notify on that. I'm saving it to my playlist. We'll get to review that on Sunday as we do our additional episode of this alien rabbit hole, Unveiling Reality, ongoing special. Right now, it's an ongoing special, right? Ongoing special. So let me put it in my disclosure 2025 folder, and there we go. All right. So speaking of which, now we have that. Now we know what's going on with that. Let's go to the next one. Where is my playlist? Here it comes. All right. And you know how YouTube does. You know how they do it. Slow as can be.
Ross,
make sure this is good. Okay. We're back. Let me get this straight here. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I really do appreciate each and every one of you in the house. All right, we're just getting ready to start our the next installment of Ross Coulthart's weird version of weird narrative. The one that seems like Stephen Greer is grifting off of. It's a grift on a grift. Grift on a grift on a grift. Can you do a grift on? I saw another guy who said something about this recently too. You can do a grift on a grift on a grift. And you got like a tri-grifter, right? So you guys feel free to hop in and have your own grifts going. Here we go. That was Finality, and where is the 100%? That guy, this guy, yes. All right, this dude. All right, this guy is this is Ross coming back up. The guy is going to interview again. The credentials, check it out. I looked him up. But the story is kind of wonky. Now, why did he bring this guy in and talk about alien abduction? I think it was just to build credibility for Jake Barber. We're gonna get through this one quickly. So let's go.
Today, it's Lieutenant Colonel John Blitch. He was another of the interviewees who strongly backed the credibility of our primary interviewee in that.
Like see, the thing about this, the NewsNation interview with Jake Barber went so bad. It was such a flop that now he's trying to say, okay, well, I got this guy and he'll vouch for me.
Story, Jake Barber. Colonel Blitch has an impressive CV. He's a former Pershing II nuclear missile battery commander, a Special Forces detachment commander, and he was a troop commander at the Combat Applications Group. Okay,
you guys, my vets in the chat, man, you take a note of this. Thanks. Yeah, take note of this, man. And then listen to how he responds to some of these acolytes when Ross gives them to him later on. He's like, well, no. Listen to it. It's gonna. I think the vets and people that have been in the military in the crowd are gonna find this part probably more interesting than the UFO stuff. But you're gonna find his reaction pretty interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think.
Otherwise known as Delta Force, one of the most elite units.
He's calling this guy Delta Force now, even though in the title it says, now can Green Berets be Delta Force too? Is that how it works? Just let me know.
Units in the US military. For those who are unfamiliar, Delta Force is a top Tier 1 special mission unit, along with the Navy's DevGRU, that's the SEAL Team 6, and the US Air Force's 24th Special Tactics Squadron. It's very rare to get someone with a Delta Force background speaking on the record and willing to step forward, like Colonel Blitch. John's also been a program manager at DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, developing an expertise in artificial intelligence and tactical mobile robotics, as well as advanced camouflage systems for the individual warfighter.
He holds a bachelor's degree in environmental engineering, a master's degree in math and computer science, and a second master's degree and doctorate in cognitive psychology. This is not some ordinary grunt. He's an open-minded cognitive scientist who also served as a visiting professor at the US Air Force Academy, as well as a consultant for the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, NASA, and other agencies. And as you'll hear today in this full interview, he also has a forthcoming book on the abduction phenomenon, in which he tells the story of his own encounter with non-human intelligence.
That's the thing, right?
Here's Colonel John Blitch. So Colonel.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So already a discrepancy to try to make him sound more badass than he is. Now, when you see this guy, I think you're going to quickly find out he's probably not as badass as they're trying to make him out to be. If this isn't Chuck Norris, I'm going to be disappointed. Yeah. Yep, Delta Force is Army. All right, cool, guys. We got that straight.
John Blitch, it's an honor to be talking to you.
Well, thank you.
Is this okay? Is this comfortable speed? I kind of want to speed this up a little bit. If it gets to be too much, I'll slow it down. But it's just that I want to make sure we get through everything tonight.
It's an honor to be here with you.
Tell me a little bit about who you are. What's your background?
Well, I guess, let me see. In a nutshell, I'm an Army nuke turned, I guess, Green Beret.
Okay, did you hear that? He just admitted he's a Green Beret. Okay, so I'm hearing already it's too fast. So I have to slow it down now.
Let me see. In a nutshell, I'm an Army nuke turned, I guess, Green Beret.
Okay, did you guys hear that? Now this again, when we do this, we do analysis, right? We don't just listen and believe. We don't just like let them speed through a bunch of bullshit, right? We stop them and say, what did you say? Okay, so I'm an Army nuke turned Green Beret. What does that mean, guys?
I'm an Army nuke turned, I guess, Green Beret.
I guess Green Beret.
Dabbled in hostage rescue.
Dabbled in hostage rescue. What does that mean? No, look up his resume. Look up his resume. It's out there. I guess Green Beret, right? See, my vets are already like, yeah. But he's got a resume out there. Academia is where I found it. Take his name, Lieutenant Colonel John Belch. What is? You want me to pull it up? I'll pull it up. Yeah, there it is. Academia.e is independent.academia.edu .education. That seems like a legit site. Oh my god. All right, here you go. Guys, I'm gonna do this because I dark mode, man. Just get dark mode. Here it is. That's his resume. Go take a look at it and we'll follow along with me, and we'll just listen to him. You guys can fact check that as we go.
Robot geek.
That seems to be true.
Cognitive psychologist.
Turned cognitive psychologist. Wow, quite a career you've had, sir.
At the one stage, at the very top, one of the elite of America's special operations peoples.
Well, I wasn't. I was part of that unit. I would say that I was tolerated while I was there.
Okay, so you hear what he said? That's such a Green Beret answer, isn't it? Isn't this a Green Beret answer?
I wasn't. I was part of that unit.
So listen to how Ross tries to build him up.
Turned cognitive psychologist.
You were at the one stage at the very top, one of the elite of America's special operations peoples.
At one stage, you were the very elite, the very top of America's.
You were at the one stage at the very top, one of the elite of America's special operations peoples.
Special operations.
Well, I wasn't. I was part of that.
Well, no, I wasn't. You totally built me up the wrong way. Oh, it's just tolerated. I was like the little guy they picked on there.
Unit. I would say that I was tolerated while I was there. But yes, I did serve there for about 3.5 years.
Right. And
he served there being tolerated by the real guys in the crowd, the real special forces people for about 3 years. He's probably the guy I had to work on the robotics for them or something. Service record would show everything. Well, I threw the link out there, man. So take a look at that. Tell me what you think. That's if you want to do some deeper research and find some stuff. We're all, like I said, like it says at the bottom, we're all in this investigation together, right? We're all doing this investigation together. So I can't cover, I try to cover as much as I can on the base, but I gotta, I'm covering the broader narrative, and I drill down on like little points like that. But if you guys in the crowd help with the investigation, man, it's even better. We got more base minds in on it.
In your time in the military, did anybody ever talk UFOs?
No.
So, nope.
I have never had any official discussions about UFOs or extraterrestrials or interdimensionals or anything.
Did you ever think?
So what the hell? All right. So you had a very ordinary career as a a decorated lackey for special forces people, or what? I mean, this guy Ross has already shown his cards a little bit here, hasn't he?
Think about it
all the time.
Now, why? Tell our audience why. What happened to you?
Several very deep, emotional, terrifying, what I considered to be dreams at the time, and I still considered them to be dreams, all the way up until 2018.
What happened in 2018? 2018, he thought these were just dreams. He thought he had dreams about this stuff.
And there were several incidents.
They sound like dreams
that convinced me otherwise, that I could not scientifically attribute to dreamscape.
What happened?
So my dreams as a kid were terrifying beyond a normal fear. You know, I've been shot at. I've been in mock POW.
Okay, so this is the
around.
thing, guys. This is the thing. All right, this dude right here, right? He's now his entire life. He had these dreams when he was a kid, right? His entire life, he thought they were dreams. His entire life, through military service, through everything else he's done, or whatever he's done, through his work in armed robotics and different places, different things he's done. He's always thought they were dreams. And now in 2018, he decided they're not. What happened in 2018? Right? 2 years in to the last corrupt administration. I'm trying to think if there was any significant things that were happening. Was that when the drones kind of like first started coming around? Maybe that's what it was. And he first got wind of the drone narrative, the early stages of the drone narrative. I don't know, but suddenly he decided he wanted to get on this game, right? So he's come to NewsNation. Ross has found him. He's built him up as somebody he's not really. Though he may have some credentials, he may have some rank. He doesn't seem to be the special forces badass that Ross wants him to be. I mean, look, does he look like the special forces badass? He just talked about how he got tolerated by real special forces, and now he's talking about as a kid getting picked on and all kinds of horrible things like that, right? Is this guy just looking for attention now? Kind of leaning that way, isn't it? Because he's not going to give us any proof that these dreams he believes are real now that are actually real, right? But he's been brought on here to add credibility to Jake Barber. That's his whole purpose here, right?
I've had a number of emergency response, very deep traumatic activities, pulling people out of wrecks.
You were at ground zero, weren't you?
Yeah, I was at ground zero. I was also at ground zero in two places. One was the Oklahoma City bombing. The other was at the World Trade Center the day of 9/11, that evening, actually. So I've had plenty.
Was military deployed on those days to those places? I don't remember. First responders I know were there. What capacity was he there in? I mean, this is the other thing with these rock star military people who claim they have, involved with UFOs in some way or another. They seem to be everywhere, don't they? They seem to be involved in everything. Like Stephen Greer, I'm constantly flying around debriefing people, and then I'm going to deep underground bases or stiffs, then I'm doing this, and then I'm doing that, and now I'm over here, now I'm over there. Now you see me, now you don't. Do, right? Ooh, I love to do a little sidestep. That's the guy, right? So they're always everywhere.
Of trauma and reason to fear, but these other experiences were terrifying to the point of paralysis, and so I can't dismiss them.
2018, I started doing math, and
now
I know they're not dreams at all.
As I have with
very real
experiences.
Are you okay about talking about what you saw?
I am. If I, you'll see a lot of times when I'm talking about some of these irrefutable experiences, I'll rub my arms or whatever, because I get a chill down my spine, and you get the classic chicken skin that is indicative of
classic chicken skin.
And a lot of my colleagues have the same.
What happened to you? What were those traumatic incidents?
So a variety of them in childhood, but again, I scientifically as a skeptic, myself as a kid, dismissed those.
And what did you see as a child?
He's using those as traumatic events.
I saw beings through my bedroom window staring at me with huge dark eyes. Here we go. That scared the bejesus out of me. And it was terrifying to the point of paralysis.
And you told yourself?
Terrifying to the point of paralysis. You mean like a night terror? That's when you kind of wake up, but your body doesn't wake up as fast as your mind does, and your nervous system isn't reconnected, right? So you're in the sound sleep. And this is a well-known thing. You're in the sound sleep, but your mind wakes up before your body does. And so you feel paralyzed. And a lot of times during these paralyzation kind of moments people have, they have this kind of terrible thing where they're trying to move and they can't. I've had them. I know exactly what I'm referring to here. And a lot of times people will report feeling like something's sitting on their chest, like a demon, like there's night terror demons that you're paralyzed, you can't move, but they're sitting there and they can mess with you, and it kind of freaks you out because you can't do anything about it. You can't get that arm to move, and all you're thinking about is just move one thing. And that's really all you got to do is just move one thing. And once you move one thing, the rest of them comes up, it comes back, it comes back. And you just have to remember that when that does happen, that you are still in a dream state. So you could actually have an opportunity to maybe go a little lucid in that state if you can actually be cognizant of that. But really what's going on when you wake up and you feel paralyzed, or like there's something there next to you, but you can't move, you can't jolt awake. It's just that your mind is woken up faster than your body. Your body was like, oh, we're not ready yet. Don't hit go. Oh shit, he hit go. Right? That's all it is. So what he's describing here is a classic kind of night terror thing, which is really just your mind waking up before your body.
So as a child, it was some kind of dream.
To grow on.
Not just me. I told my parents I would scream once I returned to a state where I could scream. So a lot of folks I know as a cognitive psychologist, I used to claim that I was a cognitive neuroscientist. I dabble in neuroscience.
You dabble in a lot of things, don't you? I bet you dabble in a lot of things.
But cognitive psychology is very clear about a lot of behavioral mechanisms that we use when we're afraid. And paralysis, with many of us, when we're in that terror mode, you're paralyzed to the point where you open your mouth and you try to scream and you can't. And so it was like that.
Like that, but you were asleep. So it was the phenomena of waking up mentally before you wake up physically, right? Which is well known.
As soon as that paralysis was lifted,
which generally happens within a couple
hell,
minutes
and my
or
parents
seconds.
came running in.
It's not as long
they
as
tried to calm me down. Both my dad and my mom. My dad was an aerospace physicist who I pushed back routinely on, especially for lecturing me about the great Santa Claus conspiracy.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Why? Now, this is something they all do too. When they're not telling you a real thing, right? And I think what he's doing is elaborating on something to make it more than what it is, like Ross is doing with his career. They go into these tangent side stories. We watch Greer do this all the time. He'll, either that he does that, dabbling is dangerous. He does that to avoid a direct question, right? Or he does that to, kind of like a human, he does that as a technique. It's not necessarily, it doesn't need to be there, right? He's going to tell this story about being mad at his dad about Santa Claus, right? Or pushing back on this idea about Santa Claus, which doesn't need to be told. It's a complete waste of time. It's filler. It could be the great, yep. It could be just him trying to, buy some time. I don't know, but it's ridiculous. It doesn't need to be there at all.
And it infuriated me that he was trying to push this ridiculous notion of this chubby guy orbiting the earth with a sack of presents like John Glenn, who he would lecture me to. So I didn't take
John Glenn lectured you too.
What he was telling me, that there are no such thing as monsters. There's no such thing as little spacemen with big eyes. And there's no such thing as ant people.
And I wanted to believe it. Now I do. Like he can't do anything about it.
Our government is doing to us about this subject.
So let's start with that.
How do you? He has no credibility. Does he have any credibility, guys? This is an F already.
Believe that we are being visited by non-human intelligences on this planet.
So I like that you use that word belief, because there's a broad range between belief and knowledge. I asked you last night where and when you were born, and a lot of us automatically consider that to be a fact because we're told it time after time after time, and we're shown birth certificates. But that, I don't know that I was born in Idaho Falls, Idaho in 1959.
Oh man, he's in the abyss, isn't he? He didn't believe anything anymore. I don't even know if the Earth's round anymore, right? He didn't know if he was born there or not. They could be lying to him. They lied to him about Santa Claus, right? He knows now. This guy's a nutcase.
I have to believe it because I don't.
You have to believe it.
But I do know that
no matter how many people were there.
Burke Elementary School in Peabody, Massachusetts, in my young days.
Sure?
I know that I attended Peabody Veterans Memorial High School from all of the deep emotional experiences that I had. So
this is the shit people listen to and believe. Like this guy is trying. What's he doing, guys? What's he doing, guys? He's trying to build a connection with the audience by telling these personal, emotional stories. He's using emotion. He's trying to use psychological techniques to build empathy, build sympathy, build likability, build relatability, right? So then you can buy into his story later on. Well, I believe him, you know. I don't know if it's true, but I believe him. We might not get through this one.
Emotion is a really, really important aspect of this. So I know that the reason that I believe that I'm going to say that I know that I was visited by non-human entities.
Ross is like, that's good enough for me, mate. That's good enough for me. Let's have a beer then. Let's do a shoey. You know, that's good enough for me, mate. Come on the show and let's riff up on it. You know, Ross, he is burning himself faster. Greer's like, what an amateur. I've been doing this shit for decades. This guy's an amateur. He won't last. Greer won't even talk about Ross. He won't even mention his name. Now, Greer's been on NewsNation before, way back, right? He's on their way back, but he won't even mention the name of the channel now. That's how bitter he is about this. I guess them doing it, the disclosure there, or him trying to downplay their version of it for his. That's what I'm saying. The really interesting thing about this isn't the UFOs, isn't the aliens, isn't these fake whistleblowers coming out with their bullshit footage or whatever, right? It's about the way these grifters are playing off each other. Like that's the real unveiling of reality we're doing here, is that we're unveiling the grifters' grift, right? We're unveiling how the grifters interact in this world of UFO alien conspiratainment, right? And how they fight for attention, how they fight to be the ultimate source of truth in a world of fake. The ultimate source of false, right? The ultimate source of false.
I know that for a fact.
From childhood.
I believe in retrospect that those childhood instances were of the same nature, but I have three
doesn't believe it.
What I consider to be irrefutable experiences.
Okay, let's talk about those irrefutable experiences. What convinced you that
what's your story?
There is a non-human intelligence?
I'm Ross. I'll believe anything.
You in particular.
Okay, number one, dreams don't cause bruises. And I woke up after a terrifying night with some very mysterious circumstances surrounded by prior to my going.
Dreams don't cause bruises, right?
I woke up with 3 dark bruises on the inside of my right bicep. Not my left, just my right. And there was another bruise up here.
Like a thumb.
The only way that I can imagine those bruises occurring was with that sort of a grasp.
A 3-fingered hand.
That 3-fingered hand, but with a thumb. Ooh, so really it's 4. 3 fingers and a thumb. 3 fingers and a thumb.
One was on the back.
I suppose, yes.
Just like the movies.
I could not, and I racked my brain time after time
it's
to try
true.
to come up with some way that I could have those 3 almost puncture kinds of bruises on the. I can't even.
Scott?
But there's another aspect of the anomalous behavior with that, and that is as soon
emotional
as I got up
damage.
I went straight downstairs to get a video camera,
right,
to film it.
The video camera.
That is totally anonymous behavior for me. Now I'm no,
Hold on. What year was this?
I went straight downstairs.
Hold on. What year was this?
Up with some way that I could have those 3 almost puncture kinds of bruises on the. I can't even reach that. But there's another aspect of the anomalous behavior with that. And that is, as soon as I got up in the morning, I went straight downstairs to get a video camera to film it. And that is totally anonymous behavior for me. Now, I'm no, like a lot of tier 1 guys, I'm no stranger to the.
Did you guys catch this? He's talking about, right? Right. So it could have been the day before. Could have been someone like, get your ass in here. Look, people can grab people without leaving a pinky bruise, right? In fact, often they do. It's a floating finger. But was this a kid? This is still a childhood dream? This is the dream he said. He opened up saying it was child. Hold on. Let me get on in here. He opened up by saying this was a childhood dream, right? And now he's saying that now there's bruises, right? And this is what the things that he started remembering. Might I miss something, or is this a recent dream? Because how old is this guy? How old is this dude? He's in his 60s, right? At least in his 60s. Maybe even further along than that. And he had a video camera when he was a kid? Really? What kind of video camera did you have? Did you have like film? Was it like a film camera? Like, what kind of video camera did you have when you were a kid? See what I'm saying? You got to slow these guys down, man. They do this shit all the time. They contradict themselves all the time. They discredit themselves all the time. People just don't catch it because they want to believe in aliens, right? They want to believe the grift. They want to believe that something more is out there because they're not happy in their lives, or they've just never paid attention to it before. So, and I get it. I'd like for there to be some excitement too. I mean, not that I like the way things are, but if we had aliens come down, it'd be kind of cool, right? I'm not against it. But at the same time, I'm also not in favor of people being grifted and abused with information, right? I'm not in favor of people having their minds controlled by people like Ross, who want to make money on TV, and he's sitting there getting fat on this. He's getting fat on this narrative. Oh yeah, give me more money now. He's going to eventually become disgraced over it, I believe. I think he's an amateur at it. I think that Stephen Greer has got a thing to show him. But I think that we really do have a real combating of the, there's a fight for the top of the ladder here amongst UFO conspiracy grifters going on. We're witnessing it firsthand. That's the amazing times we live in, right? And maybe they've always gone on, but Stephen Greer has been king of the hill for a long time, hasn't he? And here you have this weak story, the weak premise, weak evidence, crossing up, bad introduction. I mean, across the board, this is amateur hour when it comes to conspiratainment. It really is bad. I mean, even Ancient Aliens is better than this, right? Even Ancient Aliens is a little bit more believable than this guy. I mean, and that shit's ridiculous. All right, we'll give him a few more minutes. I don't think I can make it all the way through this. I don't think that I can subject you to this. Let's see if he does anything interesting here.
Jim, but I've never done, bodybuilding or posing or anything.
Really? Mr. Green Beret Navy SEAL, Green Beret Delta Force, you haven't done any bodybuilding? Is that par for the course of Green Berets not work out?
The rest of that stuff. I've never taken a picture of myself in the mirror. Why?
I don't believe that.
Why the heck would I do that on that particular morning? This
is him trying to convince us of that particular morning. You got a video camera and went to a mirror? Why don't you just get a camera? You had Polaroids probably were sitting on the counter in the kitchen. You probably had a Polaroid camera sitting there. That's what would have been around when you were a kid that you probably would have gone for first if you were really trying to collect evidence.
It's not
a rational world of making behavior. Sense.
Do you believe you've been abducted?
That experience leads me to believe that. Yes, absolutely. Because I clearly didn't want to go if somebody, or a non-human entity, I think it was a biological robot, but.
He just said it's a biological robot. He's born in 1959. Biological robot. What was it? The robot from Lost in Space? Danger, Will Rogers. Danger. Like, what kind of biological? Will the Terminator come back in time? All right, man. I can't believe this. I had no idea this was this bad. Pershing missiles were in the 60s. So a kid would put him in the 50s. Video cameras didn't come out to the 90s. This is so bad. I mean, Ross, you're an amateur. You suck. You really are bad. I mean, I could sit here within 12 minutes of this video and tell you this is complete bunk. So we're not. Screw this, man. We'll go listen to someone who knows how to grift, right? How did you sit here and make an hour out of this? Did you bring some pictures or something? What is this? Oh, no, that's the overhead shot.
I didn't want to go where it wanted me to go. So technically, that is the definition of abduction.
No.
Right?
You never had any exposure to UAPs in the course of your operations as a serviceman?
Never. Cognitive. Now he said he dabbled in cognitive psychology. Now he's a cognitive psychologist. This is the dude, Ross. You're really Stephen. If you don't chop this guy down and do it quickly and blow this whole thing up, come on, dude. Come up with a good story. You want me to help you? I'll help you out. All right. So what you got to say is these guys have been replaced, right, by alien technology. See, these are the guys I thought I was talking to, but now the rogue group has gone even more rogue, right? And they have now utilized cloning technology, which of course you could do in the Star Trek days. So DARPA and the Lockheed Skunk Works, right? They have all this shit already. And since they're the rogue group that stole it all and reverse engineered alien technology, they have mastered cloning. That's right. These guys that are sitting out here, they're intentionally meant to muddy the waters to stop disclosure from happening. And you thought you were talking to human beings that really wanted to come forward, right? But the true thing was they were setting you up, Stephen. They were setting you up with clones. That's right. These are clones. These aren't real guys. And because they're clones, they're imperfect. And see, that's the way it works, all right? And so they're messing up their story and they're exposing themselves. And you know what? Ross Coulthart, he might be part of that rogue underground group you're talking about. The guy who's out there to muddy the water. The guy who's out there to mislead everybody. That's what it is, Stephen. That's what it is, right? That, guys, am I right? Have we figured this out? He's not even good enough to be on the History Channel's Ancient Alien Fantasy Show. Ross is, he's one of those guys. It's his first time out. He's making a lot of mistakes here. That's why he keeps doubling down. They've infiltrated NewsNation. It's no longer a safe. It's no longer a safe place, and all of a sudden it's like
zebra alert, zebra alert, zebra alert, zebra alert, zebra alert, zebra alert. Kill everyone in there. 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 Zebra alert. Kill everyone in there.
Mission accomplished.
Hello, Moscow. Hello, come in, Moscow. Yes, give me a call. We just had a zebra alert go down. Yeah, evidently. Now we have clones, alien, rogue underground deep. You guys have any clones over there? You guys see any clones? Anybody acting weird? Having any kind of weird stuff going on over there? Why are you laughing? No, we have to wear the zebras. It's part of zebra alert. Otherwise, we get shot. Really? You don't see any, like, none of your guys are acting kind of weird, like they're not acting like themselves. Any of them complaining of alien dreams, maybe? Some kind of weird bruising from childhood? No? Okay, well, thanks. Just, we got to check in. It's part of zebra alert. All right. Thank you. Okay. I'll issue the stand down. Thank you so much. Okay, we can stand down now. I've called our enemies and confirmed that we are crazy. All right. So there we go. And let's put those fireflies back in the sky. All right. So guys, I tell you, I try to do quality content here. So this is part of it. And I think that we made record time, and in 12 minutes and 22 seconds, we have degrifted this guy to the end of time and back, right? End of time and back. So let's move on with the evening and go to somebody who knows how to do it, right? Let's go to the king of the UFO alien rabbit hole grifters out there, Stephen Greer, and let's see what he has to say. Now, this is a week that's gone by, or a few days that's gone by since the big NewsNation push, right? What I think that he's got some ammo now, and boy, I tell you what, if four ain't a home run, I bet you 5 is going to be something else, right? I bet you 5 is going to be something else. Just to let you know, though, NewsNation did come out with another one of these. All right. And in this one, I didn't advertise it, but in this one, this is the guy right here. Right. We got about an hour with this guy. This is another guy, a veteran, Don Paul, not Ron Paul. Not confuse with Ron Paul. This is not Ron Paul. This is Don Paul. Don Paul. All right. And Don Paul is part of the Jake team. He's part of the Jake Barber team, right? Covert ops, whistleblowers, and UAPs and stuff like that, right? So 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, hold on, did I do this backwards? Maybe I should have done this one first. I might have gotten it reversed. It doesn't matter. Let's see, hold on.
Or a non-human.
Oh no, this is okay. Yeah, no, that was 4 days ago. This is 3 days ago.
That can be fabricated.
All right, so this would be the next one we would look at in the Coulthart rabbit hole, right? His narrative, his spur narrative, right? We got competing narratives right here, with some double grifting going on. So yeah, Scott, what's up? Be safe, y'all. You taking off, Scott? Oh yeah, take care, Scott. Thanks for being here, man. We're gonna get into the Greer podcast 4 right now, man, and this one's gonna be good because this one's where he starts like threatening people. Like he starts threatening people. He's like, you better stop messing with the aliens or else, like this is where he turns into the guy who's now building fear about the aliens. So that's why I think is really interesting about this one coming up. So like I said, the over the tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive, right? This guy's got so many lines spinning in so many different circles and things are coming back on him. And oh boy, this one's going to be good. But anyways, that's the next one in the cult art. Look at this. Look at the comments. Hold on. Let me just pull the comments up. Let's see these comments here. Ross Coulthart is doing such a phenomenal service to all of humanity. What an incredible journalist. That's what Sensational thinks. Greetings here from Poland. I'm far away, but I support you with all my heart. The whole world is watching. Thanks, Ross. This guy is the most rational and believable individual I have heard speak on the subject. Great work, Ross. Who are these mind control victims? I'm speechless, sitting here with tears in my eyes after watching so many sources on my own and piecing it together. To hear the words coming out from his mouth put together. You can't even put the sentence together. Ross is so right. Some of the most historical words coming out of his mouth. So a lot of things coming out of his mouth that's turning this Sarah on. In this interview, and I think that he has been a spokesperson for all of humanity, that we have all. Are they paying for these? That we all have a right to know, and all we want is a brighter future for our children. Well, you're in the wrong place for that, I'll tell you. The things that they're keeping from us is a disgrace. This is on the Don Paul video, right? Okay, so it's not on the other one. I should have read the other one. But anyways, these people, this is what I'm talking about being grifted. This is what I'm fighting against, right? The mind control these people are suffering from in the comments right here, real or not. There are a lot of people out there that just are buying it hook, line, and sinker. Boy, they got them locked in. And that's why Ross makes the big bucks, right? Even though he absolutely sucks at what he does. All right. So you can be really bad at this and make a ton of money. I'm telling you, I'm in the wrong business. Why did I have to be born with the conscience? Why? No, I guess that's so good things happen, right? But at the same time, boy, I'd like to be worth $6.6 million right now. Not to trade anything else in that I have, Lord. Listen to me. I'm grateful and appreciative for everything. right? In addition to what I have, and it's nice to safely and secured in place, and everybody's healthy and safe. All right, so I can do both at the same time. I'm here to tell you, I've learned and I can do it. But all right, let's get on to Steven here. Steven's much more interesting.
So
there's his boyfriend, Mazziola. He's sitting across the table from him right now. I'm staring deep into his eyes. I guess they'll be having a little penis puppet show later. But all right, let's get on Steven. He's got his blue shirt on, so he means business. Woo! Well, I'm glad we got through the other one quickly. Like, I can't believe that guy. He couldn't even that guy couldn't even hang with us for freaking 12 minutes, man. That's how good we are at this point, aren't we, guys? Aren't we, guys? All right, let's get on. Let's get on to Greer, man. Greer, make up for that bullshit. Come on, buddy. Give us some good stuff.
Dr. Stephen Greer podcast. I'm Michael Mazzola. I'm a filmmaker who has collaborated with Dr. Greer for many years. I'll be asking a few questions today.
I bet you have collaborated. That's like when you see that interview with him and Dana Carvey and David Spade, that's the guy who walks through the background and goes out on the deck. That's him. So they're I mean, they might be roomies. I don't know what they might be doing there. They're playing all kinds of fun little games, I guess.
Dr. Greer, it's so good to be joined with you today. Where would you like to kick it off?
Well, first, I want to thank you, Michael, and all the people viewing this, and ask you guys to take the link for this and spread it all over the internet on your YouTube channels and X and Facebook, because we want to get the word out about these breaking developments.
Yeah, and we need to get the word out too. So make sure you share, like, subscribe, and ring the bell, no matter where you're at, on Rumble, on X, or on YouTube. All right, make sure you do that, because we need to get the word out.
They evolve over this year in 2025. Everyone I'm speaking to in the U.S. government have indicated this is going to be the year of disclosure.
Who are they? Who are you speaking to in the government? Name names.
All this coming out, it's going to start.
Name names. Damn it! You always do this to me, Steven.
There's just been the smallest tickling of that right now, with some whistleblowers coming forward. There are a lot more in the wing.
Hold on, these were your money guys, Steven. What do you mean some tickling? What do you mean tickling? What do you mean tickling? These were your money guys. You talked about these guys for months leading up. This is it. This is the rogue underground force. I made the handshake, damn it. I made the handshake with between the bad guys and the good guys that were going to take them out. I made the handshake. We need everybody in on this. It's global now. It's bigger than I've ever imagined it before and talked about it before. I keep adding shit to it. Another thing I want to point out, guys, is until the let's just remember this, until the NewsNation narrative, spur narrative, new narrative started, whatever, where he's supposedly his whistleblowers with the NewsNation instead of him. He's never said the word psionics. Okay. I want you to remember this. This is the guy who came up with not only disclosure, but CE5, CSETI, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, not the fourth kind. That's a movie. All right. This is the fifth kind, where you invite them in as ambassadors of Earth, right? Some new agey bullshit he did on mushrooms back in Appalachian State, right? When he went up in the ship and co-created the protocols, and very efficiently, because he's a doctor and doctors do shit like that, right? And so just keep in mind, this is the guy. When people say disclosure, he put that word in their head. All right. That's the power of Dr. Stephen Greer, right? He put that word in their head. All right. And when it comes to the close encounters and mind melding with aliens outside of Star Trek, he's the guy who, in the 90s came up with the CE5 protocols. Okay. So just let you know, he's been way ahead of it. He's the grandfather of the conspiratainment UFO alien rabbit hole Grift. He's one of them, right? You got Edgar Casey and a bunch of other people too, but we won't get into that. However, I just want to point out psionics. That came from Jake Barber. That came from Ross and NewsNation. That's their way of connecting and steering the egg-shaped UFOs, right? That's their explanation for that. And they did an experiment. And they put a guy in a blindfold in a chair. Why does he need a blindfold? They put him in a chair in a desert, and they went out there and they said they saw some blinky lights. Almost like they watched the way Steven does it to make money off people, right? With the ocean and the boat and the flares, right? Almost like they watched that and they did it with a drone this time. Funny, man. Grift on a grift on a grift on a grift. Like they're grifting Steven as Steven's grifting them back. It's a grift war. Like who can grift who the hardest here? I'll just co-opt you and tell everybody you're idiots. All right. So let's just hear it. I know I talk a lot about this. It's very funny and interesting. And if you really see it for what it is, this is the reality of this whole thing we're looking at here. Is two groups fighting for the top grift spot.
And then there are a number of activities that are to be determined depending on what the incoming Congress and administration will do. So just keep that in mind. And today we really want to focus heavily on the contrasts. And I would call this podcast military and corporate psionic contact with NHI versus CE5 contact. What's the difference? What are the distinctions? Why are those distinctions important? And why we want to do CE5 contact and not a militaristic contact.
Ooh.
So I think people need clarity on that because a lot of information has recently come out about the government programs about that.
Get that in you.
And by the way, you should get the CE5 contact app.
Oh, look, by the way, you can just get the app, download it. Do you guys, anybody want to download the app and try some CE5? I dare you. I dare you to do it. I dare you to do it. I dare you. Get it. Do it today.
For your smartphones, it's a whole training program in consciousness.
It's a whole training program.
Remote viewing.
That's
contact,
right. Not
all the protocols, how to form a team, the equipment you need, et cetera, and so on.
How to throw a penis party.
Just remember that. Also, if you want one of these shirts, you can get them at our store.
Oh, look at that. You can buy a shirt too. You can get the app. You can buy a shirt. Just sign up today.
DrStephenGreer.com has a link to it.
Yeah, you can show everybody you're a complete blithering idiot by wearing this shirt around. I've been grifted by Stephen Greer.
So a lot of people who are on CE5 teams like to have those, and it's just sort of fun.
Oh, you know what? I should start a CE5 team. That's what I should do. I'll just go by a different name or something. I'm going to start a CE5 team right here in town. Hey, who wants some CE5? Come on by. Come on down. We're going to go down and we're going to do some CE5. I know exactly where I'd do it too. Only $500 a pop. I'll let you talk to aliens. I sure will.
I'm wearing it today because I like blue.
Yeah.
My favorite color. Yeah, it's totally my favorite color.
You knew that, Michael. You already knew that.
Looks like from space.
He keeps telling you because his birthday's coming up.
So the Earth is so beautiful, and so first let me lay the foundation of where my comments are coming from, and this is going to disturb a lot of people. So
this is the cope. I think he's getting ready to cope. Hold on.
I'll give you a trigger warning right here.
Trigger
me. In 1991, I wrote a paper which you can see in our first book, and we can actually, put the cover of this up on the screen. Extraterrestrial Contact: The Evidence and Implications. It came out in the 90s, and it's a collection of white papers and position papers on this subject. One of the early ones I wrote was
a white paper, so it means
the comprehensive assessment
white paper
of the UFO/ETI subject. ETI being extraterrestrial intelligence, now called NHI, non-human intelligence.
They changed your terminology. I'm so sorry, Stephen.
And in it, I go through a series of analyses. As soon as that hit,
that's your analysis.
Early internet, and it did. It got picked up by the aerospace industry and the agency, the CIA, and others.
Ooh!
And I heard
they picked it up. The CIA picked it up. They didn't give me any money for it. I didn't got no credit. They just picked it up
directly.
Of course, they offered him $2 billion before that. You should have taken the $2 billion, Stephen. You should have never done it, because now we're just going to steal it and you get nothing.
One of the people who's a wonderful, wonderful man, Dr. Robert Woods, became one of our whistleblower witnesses in the early disclosure project. And he was
got there and told a hell of a story. A great storyteller, that guy.
Worked with McDonnell Douglas, and in fact, had been tasked with Mr. McDonald, founder of McDonnell Douglas,
of course,
to look into the ET technology.
Get in here, Woods. It's McDonald here. I want you to look into this. I got a special assignment for you, Mr. Woods.
And including their psi capabilities and the technology and psi capabilities.
Never, ever, ever, as you mentioned this before, in anything. I've seen all the disclosure stuff. I've been watching it for years. I've been grifting it for a decade. I've seen it all. He's never talked about psionics once. And here we go. Now let's pin it on the dead guy. Pin it on the dead guy.
Back in the 1960s.
Ooh.
So when he read this comprehensive assessment, he found a section where I talk about consciousness interfacing with technology and technology that can augment consciousness, where it goes both ways. And I called it TAC, technology assisted consciousness, and consciousness assisted technology, CAT. So
Ross, do you see how it's done? Do you see how it's done, Ross? Okay. When somebody messes with your stuff, all right, you make something new up to cover it up, right? This is how it is done. This is the master grifter at work right here. He just, after decades of sticking to one thing, he's now adding to the story with new terminology, TAC, technology assisted contact, right? He never has ever once talked about any of that shit in his entire existence in this space, because now they came up with the psionic term. The old Stephen Greer knows you're messing with champ, buddy. You're messing with the champ. So now he's gonna come out and counter you with some shit from way back when you can't prove. That's how it's done, right? And then pin it on the dead guy. Pin it on the dead guy, right? New terminology, pin it on the dead guy. You can't prove it. And now I did it first. 90 boo-boo.
So there's TAC and CAT. I'll just use that from now on because it's short. It's a nice acronym. So TAC and CAT it's a two-way system where an individual's consciousness and mind and what we call coherent thought can interface.
What we call a coherent thought as opposed to non-coherent thought. So just make sure you get that straight, guys. I don't want you to get confused because, sometimes, usually we're referring to non-coherent thought and then there's coherent thought. So just there you go.
Seamlessly. With very advanced electromagnetic systems that are phasing transdimensional.
Oh, I knew it. Oh, God damn it. I couldn't hit pause fast enough to say transdimensional is about to happen. I knew it. I knew it as soon as I heard that phasing part. I was like, he's going to bring up transdimensional. Here we go.
Speed of light.
Oh, multiple times speed of light. Like, I got to rewind this part. It's some of my favorite stuff.
Systems that are phasing transdimensionally. In other words, beyond just the speed of light.
Oh,
and vice versa. And I had discovered this. This is perhaps more disturbing to most people. In 1973, and I was 18. So now I've known about this for 51 years because I was 18.
I would have been 1 year after his experience at Appalachian State. Why would he be there at 17 anyway? 17, he said he was abducted or... why was he up there at 7? Was he from that area? Maybe he's from the area, but why would he be in college at 17? That's kind of weird. I guess he was a freshman. He could have been there at 17. I think that some people, back in the day, you could graduate from high school when you're 17, most people. So yeah, he could have been, he could technically have been there. So we'll give him a benefit of the doubt. Why not? This time we'll let it go.
Then I'm 69 now. And I had a contact experience.
Here we go. We know this. We're educated.
Non-human ET craft and individuals, because 6 months earlier I had an extraordinary near-death experience and then began to study
17.
after I survived that
17
physical catastrophe.
Yes. That's right. He broke his neck trying to. No, hold on. I'm like, I can't pull that joke out.
Consciousness was, and what the deep spirit of ourselves is. And I became a very avid student of consciousness, quantum entanglement, where everything,
just like every other 17-year-old out there, jumps right from a near-death experience to quantum entanglement, just like that. Stephen Greer, it's fucking amazing.
Things connected to each other through the mind, and began to do this. And then one fateful night in October 1973, I'm up in the mountains of North Carolina. And I go up to meditate in this remote place up at about 5,200 feet up.
Is this something?
And crystal clear day, gorgeous. And there was an
and I meditated so long. Hold on.
Appeared
I meditated. Hold on. I meditated so long it became night. You forgot that part, Steve. God bless America. I remembered it. I bothered to remember the story, Stephen. The one from the Gaia Network that we covered like a week ago, right? As we took our crowd back into history to find out where you got your start. We bothered to remember it. You can't even bother to remember your own story. Suddenly now the UFOs appearing during the day. You said that you meditated so long that it became nightfall and you just realized all of a sudden it was night and the Milky Way was in the sky and it was beautiful. That is what you said. Onto the Gaia Network, God damn it. That's home base. You told them that. And then they tried to copyright claim me for playing it. I went through all that trouble for you and you can't remember your goddamn story. All right, come on.
Sunset in the southwest, close, and it materialized, came into 3D and vanished. It was exactly the craft my twin sister and some boys in the neighborhood when I was growing up in North Carolina near Charlotte saw in 1963 when I was 8 years old.
Oh, wow. How about that?
And so
he has a twin sister. Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. She must be quite a sight.
So I just acknowledged them and didn't think more about it. And I said, well, that's interesting. They're back. And so I go into this very deep meditation. And at the end of it, I come out of this deep state. And I have an experience that was exactly like what I experienced when I died 6 months earlier in March of 1973, where I was, but at this point, instead of being out of my body in space, I was in my body on the ground, but where that state of unity consciousness, the oneness of consciousness that's infinite within all of us, I experienced while my eyes were open. And I thought, well, this is amazing. And this beautiful thought was sent to me. It said, behold, what a beautiful universe God has made. And the whole Milky Way was stretched over. I sort of became one with
Milky Way,
that.
finally.
And the whole cosmos while I was in my body. Now, remember,
what happened there? You guys see that? What happened? We got an edit?
I was in my body on the ground earlier in March of 1973, where I was, but at this point, instead of being out of my body in space, I was in my body on the ground, but where that state of unity consciousness, the oneness of consciousness that's infinite within all of us, I experienced while my eyes were open. And I thought, well, this is amazing. And this beautiful thought was sent to me. It said, behold, what a beautiful universe God has made. And the whole Milky Way was stretched over. I sort of became one with that.
There it is. There was an edit there. He cut something out. I wonder what he cut out. That's why I couldn't find this on X. I couldn't find this on the X platform. It wasn't there anymore. It was gone. Interesting. Dun, 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 dun. That's why we're watching this on YouTube instead of on X. Like usually I like to watch his podcast on X because it's X podcast. But now I went to go find it and it wouldn't let me play it because I had it saved in a bookmark. I was like, why won't it play? I blamed X. Little did I know, Steven said something he shouldn't have said there, and he had to take it all down. I don't know what it is. 2 edits now. 2 edits. He didn't like the way that came out. Let's take that out. Michael, can we take that out, please? I'm awful nervous. People might think that I'm trying to grift them or something if I say it like that. Who knows what he said, but he messed up. He messed up. He done messed up. Anyways, let's go on.
And the whole cosmos while I was in my body. Now, remember, this is 1973. I didn't have the knowledge I have now of either ETs, NHI, or even
please subscribe if you're out there watching and
consciousness.
Be part of the solution.
I just come out of high school, right? And I was my first semester of college.
So this is up in the mountains of North Carolina, by the way.
I know Appalachian State. We all know.
But with that, I then realized that over the crest of the hill was a glow. And it was this craft I'd seen before I went into meditation. And all of a sudden, it didn't walk up; it just appeared. Is he going
to go into the whole goddamn story we already covered? Look, can I just give you the cliff notes so we can move on? Because this seems like a tremendous waste of time, Stephen. We all know the story, all right? So this is the part where he goes up into the craft. It's seamless. Seems like he's floating around with no walls. It's like a see-through UFO, but there's really walls, right? And then he floats around, and they start to co-create. They co-create the CE5 protocols, right? And this is like, I guess he's giving the backstory because he's talking about the psionics and the difference between the two. Okay, because he co-created these things to be to help us become ambassadors. We invite the aliens in. I know this shit. Like you got to do your crowd. You got to talk about this goddamn story again. All right, I tell you what I'm gonna do, so we don't mess up things and get all sideways. Right, I'm gonna just speed this up. But everybody knows the story, right? If you don't know the story, just ask me. I'll tell you again. It's really bad. But I'm gonna speed this up because we need to get past this to get to the good stuff. Well, we're gonna try 1.5. Let's see if we can get this thing.
A person who, in my young man's mind, I thought it was a deer standing on its hind legs. So
that's right. The deer standing on the hind legs. I remember that part.
Almond-shaped eyes.
Okay, almond-shaped eyes. Very, very Hollywood. Go.
Touched. Now, I was wearing a kind of a ski jacket because it was cold. You're up that high in October, and it was really a
because you're out by yourself.
Trying to come in from Canada, where it's chilly at night. And so it probably was in the maybe 30s, 40s. So I had this coat on. I could see the ET. It then became invisible. And touched my shoulder, but I could see it indent.
Why would it do that? So stupid.
The puffiness, and I could feel it touch.
It indented the puffiness of his jacket. It's very nice. It was a very nice jacket. And he was in North Carolina in the mountains, and it was cold. Okay.
Replicated on you. If I were to touch you, I could tell you exactly the.
Why is he elaborating on the touching of the jacket?
The force of how it touched me, very firmly but gently. And with that, I dematerialized, went on a craft. Now, I thought that was about.
Like that. He just had a little touch on the puff jack. That's it.
Half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. It turned out it was 3 or 4 hours. And that is when I studied and meditated with this group of NHI people to create what we now call the CE5 contact initiative and protocols.
He had, see, now look, this is the part you got to understand about this, right? I'm glad I didn't skip it. All right. So this is the thing you got to understand about this. The aliens came and found him. Okay. They appeared. It looked like a deer, but it was really the almond-shaped alien guy who then disappeared, but then touched his jacket and left an imprint, right? And then, boom, he was on the ship. And he was only up there like 45 minutes, but it seemed like many hours, right? Picture yourself on a place by a river. I don't remember the words, but I'm Lucy in the sky with diamonds right now, right? And so... Steven in the sky with aliens. Steven in the sky with aliens. Right? And he was tripping his face off. Anyways, so then he goes up there to co-create and see that the reason why he needs to co-create this protocol, right, is so people can make contact with the aliens, so he can bring them in, invite them in, even though the aliens found him and took him up on the ship without him asking, right? So this has nothing to do, but then he had to go co-create a way for us to learn how to invite them in and then help guide them to where they should be, even though they showed up and took him up on the ship without him asking. But he needed to go up. You guys understand this, right? He needed to go up there to co-create the protocols with them, even though they showed up out of nowhere and took him and abducted him and put him on the UFO. All right, just work straight. Okay, let's go.
And that's what we're doing. And that's how it started. So that's
Makes
the genesis
sense,
of actual CE5 contact. Very different from what I'm about to talk about.
Yeah, very different.
Now, the reason I'm giving you this short summary, which you can read about this other places more thoroughly, I think in my book, Hidden Truths, Forbidden Knowledge, it goes into this in some more detail.
Yeah, buy the book.
But I'm not going to waste a lot of time on that. It's a beautiful story, actually. Now people say, oh, you were abducted. I said, no, I was contacted. And there's a big difference.
No, you were abducted. Get over it, Steven. Look at that cheesy smile. I was contacted. Big difference. Tell me the difference.
So I had contact, not abduction.
Really, even though they came down on the ground and touched you and took you on the ship without you saying a word.
So it was a very amazing, beautiful, and like our special forces friend.
Translation, he really enjoyed the anal probe.
And commented, it's overwhelmingly beautiful and it's overwhelmingly loving and high consciousness. And
it really loved the anal probe.
It's just hard to put into words. That's why it's so emotional. That's real contact. The scary stuff is CIA. So if you haven't figured that out yet, I'm sorry, but you're 30 years behind the curve of what we've been disclosing. Now, so hurry up, catch up, slow-mo. I mean, this is the train left the station. Now, here's the other part. So here's the other part of this. So time goes by. By the time I start this project in 1990, which is in itself another whole podcast, but we'll get into that.
Oh yeah, don't get into it.
Because we'll run out of time.
Yes,
okay, I'm going to skip over a whole lot of information.
It's very easy to do with
really quite beautiful and amazing. I immediately decided it was going to primarily be focused on contact peacefully with NHI ETs.
You decided that? Didn't you guys write the protocols together? But you decided it. Steven likes to take credit for all the aliens' work. Oh, he just totally forgot us now. We took him on board our ship. We were so nice to him. And then he goes back down to Earth, takes all the credit. That son of a bitch. He takes our anal probes and enjoys them a little too much. I think 1.5 works well with this. So I think we're going to keep it on that.
For the purpose of creating a interplanetary relationship and create a civilization that will evolve from where it is now, isolated, fighting amongst itself, to peaceful and going out into space peacefully. And that.
How in the world this guy found a wife after all this shit? He must have found some hippy dippy, trubby chick, some kind new agey chick. She's probably burning incense and all kinds of shit, all kinds of shit. I don't know how he walked around talking this nonsense after that. He found some hippy dippy chick to marry.
That was the sort of task I was given to do.
The task.
So
task of a lifetime.
Yet I finished very, very simple in a way. It's extraordinary to some people, but to me, it's very clear and clean and direct and pure. So when I started the project, I started going to, I didn't know anyone anyone related to the subject. So I went to a couple meetings. I went to some UFO organizations annual conference in 1990 in the summer, got intercepted by some CIA guys who somehow knew who I was, which I was obscure. I'm a doctor, trauma, emergency. And I said, how do you know me? But somehow it's on the radar. And then the following year, went to another one where the board of that organization pulled me in. They said, we're all either intelligence or former intelligence officials. I'm not going to say what the organization is, but you would all know it if I spoke it. So,
no, just say it. Just say it. What the hell? What are you holding back for at this point? Why are you holding back? Just say it.
I said, well, that's fine. But and they wanted me to be on the board. I said, no, I'm not interested. I don't want to be involved in that sort of thing. Right. And around that.
This never happened.
At the same time, a man approached me who was this old curmudgeon, brilliant, genius.
Oh, the curmudgeon. You know where this is going now, right? Guys, if you know where it's going, go ahead and type it in the chat right now. Show me your Stephen Greer sophistication on display. If you know where this old curmudgeon story is going, please put it in the chat. It actually, I'll give you a hint. It actually was mentioned earlier.
Scientist in his 80s. But in 1956, now think about this. 1956, I was 1 year old. He had invented a very advanced electromagnetic system, like a headset that you could wear. And it would facilitate, through very advanced electronics, going into a state of consciousness where you could remote view, but also remotely influence places through consciousness and thought. And it was real.
So this was TAC?
Yes.
Man-made TAC?
Yes, this was man-made technology-assisted consciousness, but also it was consciousness that could assist or influence other technology or 3D objects. So
and he found you, Stephen.
Both.
So special.
And he offered it because he was going to die soon. He was probably in his mid-80s.
Take this ring, and with it form the first Earth alien contract. Bringing about a new world, an era of peace. Stephen, take this. I'm about to die. I'm an old crudge muffin. I found you, Stephen, because you are the chosen one.
So remember, this is 1991. He had admitted it in 1956 under spooky arrangements with the military-industrial complex.
Right, but he just happened to have it laying around.
Remember, we started studying ET material and craft at least by the mid-40s. So that's 11 years on. And one of the projects.
Yeah, we weren't. That wasn't a cover story. That was when the Flying Saucers came out. That wasn't a cover story for the SR-71. No.
Was communications.
Not everyone gets stuck on energy and propulsion, but there's a lot more, right? And when you start talking about transdimensional communications, interstellar, where you have to communicate across the vastness of space, you're going through the ultimate transdimensional,
the ultimate
switchboard known as mind consciousness.
You think Steven's a little trans? He might be a little trans-dimensional. You think he's a little trans-dimensional? Might be. He could be a little trans.
And it's non-local.
Missoula. He looks a little trans too. He looks a little trans down there.
Expanded infinite form.
Maybe they're trans together. Maybe they're trans-dimensional. Maybe later on after the podcast's over, they get together and they put on a little trans-dimensional display together. I think that could be happening.
And this is why I tell people the operating system for CE5 contact or for anything going through civilizations is understanding very deeply the science.
Well, thank you for swinging another chandelier with that.
Now, of course, I've always been ridiculed for this, called a kook, called a quack. I don't care. I'm sort of bulletproof for what you want to call me, but because I've been called everything over the last 35 years. But that is a fact. Now that's coming out now with what they're talking about with these P3 and psionic programs. But I want to explain the stark difference. Very stark. They're 180 degrees diametrically opposed. Now, eventually, I told this gentleman, I said, look, if I possess something like that, I'm quite sure I'll be killed. And I don't think that most people are at a level of higher consciousness where they can possess such a technology and not use it for selfish purposes.
You're so wise, like Stephen. You're so wise. You're so wise.
That is so powerful. Forget AI. This would be that on mega steroids, right? That is something that there has to be a certain evolution in human consciousness and peaceful consciousness. And I hate to use these old-fashioned terms, altruism and selflessness, before you possess that. Now, I would have been able to possess it and done no harm. But I don't think that that's something that, if you look at,
because you're special, Steve.
The fact that about 12% of humans are sociopaths, and within that category, there are a lot that are psychopaths, who usually become dictators and leaders around the world and CEOs of companies.
Is he projecting?
That is not a great idea. Okay,
it's not a great idea.
So I said,
what do sociopaths do? They like to. What do they like to do? What are some things that sociopaths like to do? Do they like to gaslight people? Do they like to use people to get ahead in life? Do they see people as a means to an end? Other people? Is that what sociopaths do? Do they make shit up and abuse people in order to, let's say, I don't know, amass $6.6 million in wealth? Is that what sociopaths do? Do they trap unsuspecting victims like Michael Mazzoni and their freaking little apartment? They trap him in there and not let him leave? Does Michael wear a GIMP costume and sleep in a trunk? These are questions we need to find out the answers to.
That thank you, but no thank you. I'm glad to know.
Moscow Treat, what's up, my friend? How you doing?
Of what I already had begun to experience by people approaching me from the intelligence community. And then a year later, approximately, I can't remember the month, in 91 that I met this gentleman. He's long since passed away. And by the way, the company, there was a front company that was a cutout fronting for the CIA that bought that technology called Alpha Metric Corporation, is what he told me. I'm sure there's no trace of it. I'm sure it was something invisible shell company
that's all it was.
That absorbed it and then took it. But he still understood.
Alpha is an alphabet?
Yeah, Alpha Metric Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Metric.
Do with that what you will. So I mean, that's 1956. I mean, they can erase the records. If there's any track record of it, I'd be surprised. Nevertheless, I said thanks, but no thanks, right? For the reasons I just explained.
Yes, it's very thorough.
Security
Stephen,
and safety. I didn't think it was.
You're the chosen one.
People we were ready to do, and I knew it would put a big bullseye.
He's the chosen one, guys.
So, but he was a sincere guy wanting to help because he thought this is what we should have always used this for, right?
Yeah,
is what you're doing, not what the military-industrial complex. Not
what Stephen does. He's the chosen one,
and the military people who are running covert programs using tech like this to target.
Why did I make a mistake?
Crap and kill them.
I'm an old.
So they're using technology like this remote viewing assist to augment and amplify.
So this is, I think at this point, this is all about the cover story for psionics, right? Why didn't he ever mention psionics? I look, people who pay attention know this shit, right? Why didn't he ever mention psionics before? Well, I didn't mention it because I thought, we just do it my way, but now, since it's been brought up on NewsNation with that guy, what's his name over there? It's time for the story to come out. It's time for old Steven to do some disclosing of his own. Oh yeah, the brand new story. This is the way it's done, Ross. You see, you have to have a story ready to go in case somebody calls your bullshit. That's how it works.
Amplify the psionics?
Correct. Yeah, the really high-end parts.
Good job, Michael.
So remember, all these projects are compartmentalized. If you were in one project, you might have been using one system. If you're in another, there may be another deeper one. You have to understand the extreme compartmentalization. So a special operator in one will absolutely not be read into something going on. It could be 10 miles away on another.
Nah,
just
10 miles away.
There's not this sort of all access pass on projects that's compartmented. Now, this is why I describe what we're doing with this podcast, the disclosure mosaic. I want to put together 35 years or more than that since I was 18
winning,
years of this sort of experience and evidence.
I feel sorry for anybody who's not on the winning side.
And give you this big mosaic because it's time to pull all this together, frankly, because it's all going to come out. There has to be context and the understanding, not only the history of it.
That's what you're here to do because you're the chosen one.
In that history are some warnings of what not to do going forward. That's what I want to speak to. So by 1992, because we had successfully invited, we don't summon and call or boss ETs around. It's a diplomatic invitation. So let's get our linguistics down here.
Yes, see, we're going to do it.
Summon someone.
Steven's like, no, you're going to do it my way or else. This is where he starts to get a little feisty. He starts getting a little threatening. Because you better be doing it my way. I'm in charge. I'm Steven. I'm the chosen one. Chosen one says do it his way. You do what the chosen one says. And that's the way it works. Right? Get your shit straight. Let's go.
You're at Downton Abbey, being the Earl of whatever, summoning the butler to bring you tea. Right? Mm-hmm. We're not summoning ETs that way. We don't call them and they come at our beck and call. That is undiplomatic. It's
Are you
demeaning.
Sure? You sure about
disrespectful, and it's the opposite of what we're doing with CE5 contact. That is not the consciousness behind it.
That's not what I.
The consciousness behind it is
you better do it my way. Buy the goddamn app. Learn how to do it. All right, you better learn how to do it. He's alien Jesus. I know he's alien Jesus. He's an
invitation to make contact for peaceful relationship building between species, humans and non-human intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
It is not acquisitive. It's not to shoot them out of the sky with an electromagnetic pulse weapon, grab their technology, capture the living beings, and put them under bases. Or
that's already happened. What, for decades now? That's not what it's about. Now you're telling us we've been doing it wrong the whole time. What? You mean they come here and they invade our planet without they don't announce themselves? They sneak around doing sneaky things. They pick up college students in North Carolina and put them on their damn UFOs, right? And they're flying around and making protocols without anybody else being involved, right? They don't communicate very well. They're not good communicators. They don't communicate very well at all. And yet, we're supposed to allow this to go on, right? And we're not supposed to defend ourselves or worry about it. We're not supposed to be shooting them down. Well, we've been doing it wrong then. Usually when something's coming and you don't know what it is, it's coming after you and it's not communicating very well. Well, you try to go with the survival instinct, don't you? So you got your rogue group. They've been shooting them down with EMPs and reverse engineering their tech. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. It can't go back in, Stephen. So what are you telling us now? You should have told us this a long time ago. Why didn't you say something? Why is all this just coming out now? And you've known that for all this time. Why is it just coming out now? See, we could have done something about it, but now we've shot down like, I don't know, what, 2 a year, 2, 3 a year. Let's say on average, we're shooting like 2 for a decade. We've shot down, 20 in a decade. So this is 2 decades. So we've shot down at least 40 UFOs by his count at this point. Now we go back to the 50s and say, well, we've been doing it since the 50s, the 60s, we'll say, what's the 60s? 60s to 70s, that's 10, 70s to 80s, 80s to 90s, 90s to aughts to 10s, 10s to 20s. We're looking at about 120 UFOs now. We have shot down with EMP weapons, the same place every year, 120 of this non-human intelligent ET origin stuff, right? And we reverse engineered 120 alien craft, according to you. And now we're supposed to stop? This is like an addiction. Are you kidding me? You can't take our yummies away. This is what we do. This is our thing. All right, keep trying to convince me though.
Kill them. That operation is 180 degrees diametrically opposite of what CE5 contact teams are doing. I want to make this.
You've known this since the 90s and you haven't said anything. I mean, you went up in the alien craft. Look, Stephen, we have to come to some hard truths, brother. They come to some hard truths, brother. That your alien friends they're not good communicators. They're not good communicators. No matter how hard you've tried, you have not taught them how to communicate well with human beings. You had since the 90s, aughts, 10s, teens. Oh, you know what? It might have been It might have been more like 160 UFOs. I forgot the teens. But yeah, you've had about, I don't know, 40 years or so to get this shit right. You haven't been able to talk to them since. You have CE5 contact. You haven't gotten back to them and said, look, I don't think it's working. I think we need to up our communication game a little bit, guys. Let's get together here on this. I mean, dude, if a bunch of idiot humans can sit around in a boardroom and figure out how to up the communications in their stupid corporation, you can't work with NHI and ETs. You can't work with these people to up the communication game. You've had decades to do this. For the chosen one, you're not doing a good job.
This crystal clear, and I will say it 3 more times during the podcast. It couldn't be more different. And so people with their sort of superficial
translation, you're not doing it my way.
Understanding of this can easily conflate those two, right?
Oh, bad.
Couldn't be more different. They are absolutely not related. In fact, they are at complete opposite ends of what we should be looking at. So the one is an act of kinetic, militaristic, invasive, using psionics, violence, targeting of a craft, hijacking their control system. We'll get to this in a minute. I understand how it works. Moving them into 3D and into range, hitting them with a weapon, bringing them down, preferably in one piece, so they can be studied and reverse engineered. And sometimes the NHI people are killed. Sometimes they're caught living. Sometimes the ones that are captured are nanobiotechnological drones.
Oh, nanobio.
That are not the indigenous ETs, but ones that are very advanced. I've talked about this since the 90s, what is called nanobiotechnology, where you can have a living life form that's actually an operational being. And both ET civilizations have them for security purposes, but so do covert programs, by the way.
It never stops. It never stops. I love it. It's so good.
And those are the guys, those creatures are the ones doing the abductions, the man-made drones.
Hold on. Have you met a bird?
And both ET civilizations have them for security purposes, but so do covert programs, by the way. And those are the guys, those creatures are the ones doing the abductions, the man-made drones.
The man-made drones are so have you told Belch this stuff? Belch seems to think it's aliens. You had a dream about it. He had bruises, 3 fingers and a thumb. Have you talked to him? Well, you can't talk to him because he's over there with Ross and NewsNation, and you guys are enemies.
Or robots, but they're very sophisticated. I mean, some are kind of clumsy robotic and some are very biological. I've talked about
clumsy. Those dang clumsy ones. Guys, we got to send some robots out. Send out the X4 units. Man, those the clumsy ones. They're such an embarrassment. I hate sending out the clumsy biotech robots when we're trying to do abductions. It just makes us look like, amateurs. Really. I mean, not only are we bad communicators for aliens, but then we send out the sloppy drone tech. I don't know, man. Maybe we need to rethink some things, guys.
About this since the 90s. Now, the actual ET beings that often are on these craft, they often do get killed or they get captured. And I've been told by many of these special forces guys who've been in these bases that there's a number of them still in captivity, which they euphemistically call.
What's special forces guy? Could you just elaborate a little bit for us on the special forces guy a little bit? I mean, it's disclosure time. Look, Stephen, if you want the government to disclose things, you need to learn how to reciprocate. You need to learn how to disclose things too. Okay. Not a little toe in the water, shoestring, walking, a little shoestring tripping, whatever, right? You need to learn how to reciprocate. In fact, you need to learn how to lead by example. When you leave things out and you don't disclose things, what's the incentive for anybody else to do it? Right? When you don't communicate well, what's the incentive? When the aliens don't communicate well, what's the incentive for us to communicate well with them? You have to understand human nature and how things work. So if you want things to be a certain way, like say people to use SETI, CE5 instead of psionics, right? You need to lead by example. Use your CE5 to bring the aliens in to form a better communication network between us and them. Okay. And maybe we'll stop shooting them down with our EMPs. All right. You see how that works? If you lead by example and disclose some of the names of people and things that you've done and actually show some hard evidence, not just Michael Mazzoni staring at us like his life's like, he can't believe he's actually sitting there doing this, like his life's over, right? Not just that, but actually lead by example. Be the change you want to see. Have you ever heard that before, Steve? Be the change you want to see and it shall come to you. All right. So give that a try and we'll just keep on moving on here. Let's go.
I like the wordage they use, this sort of whitewash what's going on. refugees. Well, they're not refugees. They've been captured and they're prisoners of these aggressive military and
thought that was
programs.
funny.
So those need to be liberated. And we're working on that through a group of special forces guys.
Oh, you've been working on that. How long have you been working on it? How long these people been down there, man? These aliens are you call them people. I'll call them people for you. Aliens have been down there. Special forces can't get them out. You're trying to work on it. What the heck, man? Other people coming in and probably think, oh man, this is a serious thing. And then they come in here and they realize that it is serious in a sense that we're being serious about what he's talking about. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here. I'm giving him the benefit to stick around, have a good time. It's comical because Stephen is the chosen one and this stuff has to get taken care of. So we're in the conspiratainment fantasy world here ourselves with Stephen. And so I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. It's all true. So I'm just trying to help him do his job as the chosen one, Messiah of alien human contact. All right. I'm just trying to help guide him to a good delivery on what he has been tasked with achieving. Okay. I'm just trying to help.
Now, the CE5 contact is not geared towards any self-aggrandizing purpose. It's not to give you
it's definitely not self-aggrandizing. It's definitely not designed to self-aggrandize anyone at all. Not at all. It's definitely not designed for that.
Because you saw UFO. Sure. It's not to get their technology so we can reverse engineer it and then
we already got
beat the shit out of the ETs with it, which is what the military.
We don't need it. We already got it. Fuck them.
And corporate programs have done for 70 years. It's to make peaceful contact and develop a deep relationship between humanity,
right,
our species, and their civilizations, plural, which there are many, for going forward in a time of not just world peace, but universal peace. That's why our motto is one universe, one people. And the foundation of universal peace is not
the irony, Roscoe, is that the irony is, and I hope the God has a sense of humor. The irony is I hope that's where he ends up. Like if I were to write a show about this, right? And I actually did write a I don't know how many it was. It was 2 seasons of 8. It was 2 series of 8 seasons of a show called Streaming Consciousness, right? And it's about living in the streaming world and all the different topics that are out there and how it can be played out. And it was always through the lens of someone on the other end of a camera. So if there was a camera on someone that was live streaming, then that was the universe, right? So that's where you could see into this world, right? And I wrote a bunch of episodes that had to do with a lot of things: the trans issue, the woke issue, I included all my experiences and everything else I could think of, including this one, Disclosure People. I can't remember what the episode was about because I wrote these things so long ago. I wrote summaries for each one, and then I submitted it to people that said that they would be interested in it and wanted content for like shows like Daily Wire, Tim Pool, other people. They were all like, "Yeah, send us our ideas. We all want to do this together." And they were like, "No," but they didn't respond to anybody. A bunch of kooks. But anyways, I got it written. And I can still go back and write it. I could see myself writing things like this, right? And where where people end up like I'd like Black Mirror, the series Black Mirror. So I'd write it in like a Black Mirror kind of style with my own kind of touches to it, right? So my own kind of universe where it's everything through the lens of a camera, right? And of an active camera. And so where Stephen Greer would spin these yarns, or somebody that would represent him in the show would spin these yarns about alien contact and stuff. And really behind the scenes when the camera's on but not on, like you're in the house, it's private networked kind of stuff. Like it's not live to the world, but it's live for them in the house. You can still see them talking about it, and him just being like, yeah, these, laughing about it, thinking, oh, I got these guys grifted, and then ends up getting snatched up by some kind of weird thing that he has been describing the entire time. And all the way up until the end, you really don't know whether or not it's real or who it is, whether it's the government, whether it's like, secret rogue elements of underground, deep underground based stuff and like that. And it's the way to my mind would work is it would be like, Michael Mazzoni who did it to him. You're the guy sitting right next to you the whole time. That's the way I would probably play that out. But yeah, let him end up as an alien meat puppet. Yeah, let's go.
Not shooting each other out of the sky so we can be the big monkey and figure out. And the foundation world civilizations,
are they a monkey too?
Of which there are many. For going forward, for reverse engineer, not to give you entertainment because you saw a UFO. It's not to get their technology so we can reverse engineer it and then beat the shit out of the ETs with it, which is what the military and corporate programs have done for 70 years. It's to make peaceful contact and develop a deep relationship between humanity, our species, and their civilizations, plural, of which there are many, for going forward in a time of not just world peace, but universal peace. That's why our motto is one universe, one people. And the foundation of universal peace is not shooting each other out of the sky so we can be the big monkey and figure out how to get their technology.
Really?
That's not it. It's to create a future where we do have the technologies. We already have them. We don't have to keep shooting them down. That would run the planet with 0 point energy and free energy and no pollution. And in a generation, eliminate all the suffering and poverty.
Time to go there.
Create huge new advances in medical healing systems, all kinds of positive things. And the ETs want that. But we don't have to kill them. We don't have to capture them.
Why don't they come down here and just talk about it then? Why are they going to an idiot like you? I mean, no offense, but I'd pretty much rather look at an alien than you. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, time is a cruel master. And I'm just saying, Steven, you should just, I mean, but I get it. You got people like Ross Coulthart trying to come in and take over. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. He can't handle this responsibility. He can't handle this responsibility. He doesn't know how to handle this kind of responsibility. He's got Joey Jackass on there talking about his dreams when he was a kid. No damn proof. Right? He can't support a story to save his life. His whole thing's gonna fall down. You got Eggman on there, and no telling what the bald guy's doing, Mr. Clean guy's gonna say next week. No telling, man. We'll figure that out on Sunday. But you know, Steven, man, why don't the aliens just come down and do it? They don't need permission. They don't need CE5. They don't need anything. They could just come down and do it. Well, they're gonna shoot them out with the EMPs. Well, tell them not to go where the EMPs are. I mean, come on. Do I need to sign up and help you out? I'm going to take this guy's grift. I'm going to run it into the ground. I'm going to be like, I'm taking over because Stephen Greer is not responsible enough to handle this kind of responsibility. And I have been in contact with the aliens, and I'm going to tell them not to do what Stephen Greer tells them to do, because Stephen Greer for decades has let them down year after year after year. All this effort, all this fanfare, all these goddamn documentaries, fucking blue shirts, you know, Michael Mazzoni sitting on a goddamn webcam, and he can't get the aliens to communicate well with us. I mean, what is up with that? How big of a fail on delivery do we got? How many more years do you got to go through this, Steven? Huh? You got little Steven Jr. Is he coming to take your spot? I mean, when do we see the transition into somebody who's more effective? Right? You're not executing well. I don't mean to lecture you, Steve. You know I don't. You're a doctor. But honestly, we got to talk about your results and your TPS reports. But that's a different story. We'll save that for later. The results, they're not there. They're not there. You've had all this stuff. People are giving you bands of psionics. You're getting all these debriefings, and you're getting in with all these administrations, and nothing gets done. The aliens still can't communicate with us. They're still getting shot down. All right, look, I'm going on and on and on. Let's hear what you got to say about this.
Sure, them. We don't have to hijack their aircraft, their NHI craft, and we most certainly don't have to hit them with weapons.
If we could hijack their aircraft, they ain't shit. We got nothing to worry about. What are we worried about? Oh, we got to worry about the other guys who can do it better. Oh, shit. We're going to need the aliens' help, is what he's going to tell us, right?
To bring them down. This is not the way to do this. Absolutely not. It's immoral.
Bad people.
It's dangerous.
Bad human.
Now, let me pivot for just one moment. This will disturb you. You may not sleep tonight.
Uh-oh.
And I've known this for some time. But in the last 2 years, I've had 3 separate people who have been in communication centers at classified bases that have told me there has been intercepted communications from NHI, that they're just about fed up with that nonsense.
Oh, this is the threat. This is what I'm talking about. Here comes the threat, guys. Ready?
Targeting them, damaging them, captivating their people, and doing this in a kinetic, meaning violent.
They can communicate that they're fed up, but they can't come down here and set some shit up.
Euphemism in the military.
All they got to do is say, we got 0 point energy, guys. That's all you got to say. Aliens, if you're listening, look, Steven's a nice guy, right? But I can do it better. All right. I can do this better. All you got to do, we're actually really reasonable. We're not all like, we don't got to stick up our ass like this guy. Most of us are pretty chill, right? I got a good crew. Come on into the chat. We'll take care of it. But all you got to do is come down and say, look, guys, we got 0 point energy, and we'll keep the bad guys. In fact, there's this guy at the White House. His name is Donald Trump. He's pretty based, right? If you go to Donald Trump, just zoom on in. You go to Donald Trump. All right. There's another guy named Elon Musk. He'd be really cool to talk to. You probably like him. He's a lot cooler than the Stephen Greer guy you picked. Let me just tell you. Go talk to Elon, talk to Trump, come talk to me. We just show up with the 0 point energy and be like, here you go. Dude, if you give 0 point energy to Trump, he'll treat you like so good. You'll like you wouldn't believe. He'll set you up at Mar-a-Lago. Dude, you will see an EMP. There won't be one within fucking 2,000 miles of you. I promise you that. And since we already got your technology, we really don't need it, right? Right? You know, we really don't need it. But if you bring that 0 point energy down to us, right, and you introduce yourselves and learn how to communicate with us effectively without doing this brain bullshit, right? Just come down and talk. We got AI. We'll figure out how to communicate with you. And if you do that, I promise you, you'll be treated like royalty. You'll be the biggest celebrities on earth. You'll probably have song and dance numbers, and you know we'll have a good time. This Stephen Greer has been letting you down. He doesn't deliver. Just come on in. Look, you'd be better off talking T-Rex Trucking. All right, T-Rex Trucking would do a better job than Stephen Greer's been doing for the last 3 to 4 decades. All right, let's continue.
Just kinetic, just casualties and destruction, violence manner. And then the problem is, because we have these advanced technologies that are psionic and technological, our craft, the ones that we have that are man-made, have pretty much reached almost an indistinguishable level with the NHI craft or ET craft.
I keep saying this every time. I'm going to do it real quick. People don't know what an NHI alien craft looks like. So how are they going to be able to tell that ours are just as similar to theirs as theirs are to ours? Like, if we don't know what an alien craft looks like, then we can't tell that we're making craft that look just like them. There's a little plot hole there. Don't worry about it. We got it covered, Stephen.
But by using this technology in an aggressive military and corporate way to simply get more and more of their stuff, their goodies, their technology, which is what all the billionaires want, right? Because they only think one way. How do I become a trillionaire if I'm a billionaire? That's all they care about, right? These civilizations out in space are absolutely fed up with that. And let me be clear about this.
Look, he's got the finger out. This is a warning,
and it is a threat.
Look at he's got the finger out, guys. Look, hold on. He's got the finger out. This is Stephen's lecturing finger, okay? And this means you're in trouble. All right. When you see the lecturing finger come out, you're in trouble. All right. Now he's going to lecture us. And he's going to threaten us. He's going to tell us we better get our shit together or else what? All right, let's figure that out right now.
If we stay on that path much longer, the dangers to peaceful civilizations out in space and other transdimensional space-based civilizations is untenable. So
yeah, if we keep going this direction, everybody's screwed. It's all our fault. You guys get it? You see? And the aliens are so worried about that, they won't learn how to communicate well with us.
Crisis, and we have to fix it. And the way we're going to fix it is to stand down completely those aggressive weapon systems. Now, one of the executive orders that I have recommended to the incoming president and the Congress is an immediate cessation of the use of those systems that bring down these craft through a forced effort as opposed to peaceful contact. So we need to take that sword and all those tools they have, but turn it into this plowshare of open, peaceful contact.
Turn a sword into a bouquet of roses. How about like a nice welcome banner?
Without the ulterior selfish motive of let's steal and reverse engineer more of their tech. We've already done that.
How much more do they constantly sending down new shit? How much more stuff do they have? If we're stealing 2 rides a year, how much more stuff do they got? Well, we don't want to send down the new Alpha, Zeta, Beta, Delta 457, right? We don't want to send that down there because they'll just steal it from us. Nah, well, it'll be fine. All right. And it goes, dude, guess what? The 457 got shot down. They got it. They've already reverse engineered it. I can't believe it. We do this every year, like twice a year. This happens to us, right? I'm getting so fed up with these guys. Let's tell Stephen.
It's been done for 70, 80 years. We don't need to recreate that wheel. We need to disclose the technologies that already are existing.
Okay.
That are to be used peacefully, not the things that fly, but the energy generation.
But no, not the things that fly, not the fly thingies, but the energy generation that they use to make their coffee and their microwave their goddamn burritos on the house.
To go from one legacy program to something that would be equally misguided and would be using technologies that are psi related aggressively or in a way that is
psi related.
There should be no more forced takeover of the craft. There should be no more striking of them with.
He's not denying the fact. Did you see what he did there? This is the art of the grift. I heard might have been on a flight. I hope that's bad info. It's bad info. Don't listen to that. All right. Check it out. Oh, thanks. Way to sidetrack me with your swinging in on a chandelier, Jacob. Now I lost my train of thought thinking about that. Yes, we all know the plane crashed. Plane split sucks. It sucks, man. I'll look into it, let it develop. I'm not going to jump to any sharks right now about plane crashing. Plane crashes happen and it sucks. And I feel bad for the people that it happened to. And it's just it's a shame. It sucks when planes go down. But right now we got to focus on trying to save the world from ourselves. And not this our world, transdimensional world, the alien races up above. They're all counting on us. They haven't talked to us. They haven't worked anything out. They're supposedly way ahead of us technologically, but we can shoot their shit down and we can reverse engineer it. So, you know, maybe they need to come down and get to work for us. You know, maybe that's what the thing is. Or maybe they need to find a new planet to pick on because we keep kicking their ass. Right? Why are they so interested in us? It's like obsession. I'm beginning to wonder. I'm beginning to wonder about these aliens. They don't want to communicate. They're hanging around people like Stephen Greer, and they're very obsessed about us. It's like, you know, like single white female shit. Yeah, remember that movie, Single White Female? It's like that. It's like they just don't want it. We're just trying to get them to like us. They keep just beating us up and taking our stuff, but we keep going back hoping they'll like us. You know, has anybody ever told the aliens that doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results is the definition of insanity? These aliens seem insane, right? They seem insane. But Steven's heated. I don't want to steal his thunder. I'm gonna back him up a little bit. He's got the hand going into the fingers going into the hand to demonstrating things. All right. So let's let him finish and I'll talk about it.
Using technologies that are psi related aggressively or in a way that is forced. There should be no more forced takeover of the craft. There should be no more striking of them with any type of electromagnetic weapon. So that needs to be done by an executive order and a law passed through Congress. And then
What? This is why Stephen's so great. But it takes an executive order to stop this shit. I mean, the rogue group is going to listen to an executive order. Well, guys, all right. Trump just signed an executive order, so we're not allowed to shoot down the aliens anymore. Damn it, Greer finally got to him. He finally delivered. And now what are we going to do? We can't talk to them. They don't communicate well. What are we supposed to do now? We can't shoot them down. Now what are we supposed to do? But God damn it, if it wasn't for that executive order, then we could keep shooting down the aliens. So now I guess we got to get the corrupt establishment back in. Maybe they'll get rid of Trump's order. Then we can start shooting down aliens again. Oh boy.
Has to be enforced. And the way it's going to be enforced are the special forces guys who've separated from the military are now ready to work under a law enforcement team in the United States. And there's another team being stood up that could operate shooting down aliens. So I'm involved with briefing them, and I'm involved in trying to get them up to speed, but they can't act. My friends, listen, we live
You're not going anywhere
politically in a democracy. They can't act unless the president.
This is his like get out. This is his plausible exit right here. We're in a democracy. We can't act unless the president tells us what to do.
My friends, listen, we live purportedly in a democracy. They can't act unless the president and the Congress acts. And
really, it's up to the president and the Congress. So now you see how he's going to get out of this. The president and the Congress won't act. We believe they've been compromised. There's people on the inside. We won't name names. We won't tell you who they are, but they have manipulated them and told them there's nothing going on here. And I still can't get the aliens to communicate effectively. I don't know what to do. I'm at a waste. Me and Michael are just going to sail up in the sunset together.
And because then they would be unconstitutional and rogue, right?
Michael wants to go.
They don't want to be. They want to operate under the rule of law and the rule of the Constitution. So we need to write our leaders and explain, please pass the executive orders that Dr. Greer has provided.
Can we see these executive orders? Can you put them online somewhere? I mean, you expect us to go and bug Trump and the administration about some executive orders that we never see. Will you please listen to Stephen Greer and sign his goddamn executive order so the aliens don't become, get mad at us? I know. Where's she at? She didn't see it. A rogue group is going to follow it. Yes. Well, that's the way it works. Don't you know that?
in the presidential briefing document and the briefing document for Congress. Soon, we're going to
tell us who has it. You keep the wrong secrets. You keep the wrong secrets, man.
Publish that entire document, except with certain redactions for sensitive reasons that everyone listening and everyone in the world can read. And it will
where? Wait, okay, hold on. What?
Page turner. It's 310 or 20 pages, something like that.
Only 300 pages?
So that's what we need to do.
Well, did he say where it was? Did I talk over him? Sorry, Steve.
The briefing document for Congress. Soon, we're going to publish that entire document, except with certain redactions for
we'll be there for it.
Sensitive reasons that everyone listening and everyone in the world can read. And it will be a page turner. 310 or 20 pages, something like that. So that's what we need to do. I just want to get all that put together quickly in a package. And then what you're going to ask something like?
Yeah, I got two questions. So the first one is, when you say that this is a communication, an extraterrestrial communication that was intercepted, is this an ET communication to another ET civilization that we eavesdropped on, or is this real? Okay, can you elaborate on that?
Well, look, I mean, if you understand space-time at a transdimensional
understand space-time, Michael. If you understand it, Michael.
Level, and you understand the physics of the interface between.
Well, Michael's like, well, you know, I don't. Why are you picking on me, Steve?
What we would call electromagnetics and thought conscious fields, psionic, TAC and CAT. You can set up systems that can receive that kind of data.
Oh, that's some massive work right there.
Apparently, TAC and CAT,
look at that
level, and you understand the physics of the interface between what we would call electromagnetics and thought conscious fields, psionic, TAC and CAT. You can set up systems that can receive that kind of data.
Yeah. And why haven't we done that with our reverse engineer technology, super underground, dark money, corporate military, 1,000 years ahead of anything on Earth technology people? They haven't done that already, Stephen? You sure? Maybe people don't tell you everything.
Apparently that has happened. And people say, well, is it in English? I said, it doesn't need to be, because this gets into something we don't necessarily have time to go into, but there's a pre-verbal level. So let's say, I'm going to say a word.
Okay.
Apple. No, red apple.
He's going to, you know where he's going with this, don't you? You know where he's going to go with this, don't you? Okay, now I'm going to guess, but I'm pretty sure he's about to rip me off. All right. I'm pretty sure he's about to take my example of the human brain OS and how everything is built on symbols and archetypes in our brain, and then words come after, you know, and then speech comes after words. Right. So I think he's getting ready to steal it. That means, guys, that Stephen Greer has been watching my show and learning from me. That's right. And he's probably he's probably that guy that's been thumbing down everything. That's probably what he is. He's like, no, you don't like what I'm saying. You don't think I'm delivering. I'm giving you a thumbs down. Not really. Okay. Go ahead, Stephen. Rip me off.
Now, those English words, red apple, doesn't mean anything to someone who speaks Swahili or Mandarin.
Okay.
If they don't know
All right. So maybe I'm wrong.
But inside those words is the image, the essence of a red apple. Let's call that the visual aspect of it. And within that is the causality, the meaning of the thought. All right. It's called causation.
He needs to really come by the show. I can help him with this. I can help him really help him with this. I can give you about a 15 to 20 minute rant you can go on about Human Brain OS. Really good stuff, Stephen. You should come by.
At thought level. And that is where real communication happens. It's in those packets of the thought essence. And then it can go into the visual and or specific language. So I want to unpack that. That's what we do with our CE5 contact when we're receiving information. This is a very advanced concept. I mean, I know this is going to lose people here.
Oh,
this
yeah, you're really losing me.
We're going to do a whole week cruise on a ship in the middle of the Caribbean.
Did you hear that? What? Who wants to go? I'm going. What is it? Hold on. I'm going. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to go and be that guy. Dude, I got balls of steel. I'll go do shit like that. I'll go be that guy.
People here. This is why, you know what? We're going to do a whole week cruise on a ship in the middle of the Caribbean. 200.
I love it. The Caribbean.
By the way, that's sold out, but they can only take 200 people. But you can.
It's sold out.
Join us by webinar. Although we.
Dude, when I was in music, raising the band I toured around the country in, we were going to do a cruise, and jam cruises were a thing. And I think they still are kind of a thing to some people, right? Jam cruises, right? So you go on jam cruise, you pay a bunch of money and you go on and you get to see bands that you like, and you get to party on a boat out in the middle of international waters and do whatever the hell you want. Nobody can say anything to you, right? So jam cruises, right? And the bands make a lot of money when they sell those jam cruises out. He's doing a jam cruise, is what he's doing. So that's another way that $6.6 million net worth Stephen Greer, UFOologist and non-delivering space contact guy, makes his money. That cruise right there probably made him a pretty penny, man. If he sold out a 200-person cruise, he just banked. I mean, he made like $50,000-$60,000 maybe and more. Like if he was hooked up with the right people. And they're going out of the Caribbean. That means they're docking out of Florida. So we're all gonna meet in Florida, and then he'll be a king shit for a fucking week out on a boat, right? And everybody be like, "Oh, Steven, you're so smart. Oh, Steven, are the aliens here?" And then what he'll do is he'll have a big meditation. He'll get on top of the boat. He'll probably look like a king up there, right? He'll go on top of home. We're all gonna do that now, okay? Everybody, close your eyes. And then a boat, one of his little buddies, probably Michael Mazzoni or Mazzola, is gonna go out there in his little boat and disappear, right? And then maybe they'll drive by like a coastline, and someone will be up there lighting off like lanterns or shooting up little flares or using a freaking laser pointer. He has a green laser pointer that he points to things. He goes, "See, that's it. See, that's that. See, that's that." That's how he does these scam things he does, right? So if he's got a cruise going on, that is the perfect opportunity to pull one of these scams. So I can't wait for this cruise, and I hope that people going there, somebody will be smart enough to set up a camera so that we can take a look at what happens. And we're going to send Outpost Nerd on that as an undercover. He's going to go and be Stephen Greer's new best buddy, right? And he's going to start bringing in, he'll probably be dressed like R2-D2, and he'll start bringing in the aliens too with the CE5 contact. Let's continue.
We may have some dead spots in the ocean, but that's April, I think, 6th through the 12th or something.
April 6th through 12th.
Link up on the screen.
Yeah, it'll be so cool. But because we've never done it in the middle of the dark ocean, every night we'll be out in the middle of the dark ocean. It'll be phenomenal.
Every night. Boy, oh boy, they're gonna fuck with some people's heads that week. Not only that, now they can launch drones. They can launch drones now. They don't have to use the flares anymore. They can just launch drones, dude. Oh my goodness gracious. This is gonna be epic. He's got this might be what it's all about right here, folks. Don't spend any time trying to get the aliens communicate better to save the goddamn Earth, right? Go on a cruise, Steven. That's the way
I've
to do
always
it.
wanted to do CE5 in the
This is
middle
why he
of the
doesn't do
ocean,
it.
ET base.
Yes. Well, yes. Yeah. And you're further away from a lot of the assets to strike them. So now, one other little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the CE5 contact protocol, the meditation, the protocol, embedded in it, usually more than once, is for them to come and appear in any way that is safe and appropriate for this time and place and situation. And I communicate to them and say, we have these weapon systems, you can't be tracked, and they can strike you. So heads up. But what we don't want to do, since we now have
heads up, they might be here.
People around the world that know about CE5, right? Everyone from Aaron Rodgers to Demi Lovato to celebrities to what.
Did he just throw Aaron Rodgers under the bus? That's sad.
But the reason that's important is that I've known since 1991 that they have had these capabilities to track them and strike them. The reason I was offered $2 billion by General Albert Stubble.
Oh, here we go.
In May of 92. And my wife, who's over here, is not, we talked about this earlier today, is they said, oh yeah, it's because they knew that I understood this and I could be a valuable asset.
Yet they had psionic technology since the 50s to steer the UFOs. They could shoot them down with EMPs. Now they needed Stephen Greer to form a protocol of bad communication between aliens, because nothing has happened since you came on the scene, Stephen. You haven't delivered. The aliens are in danger now. This shit keeps running on and on and on and on to the point where you're pointing your finger and you're making threats. Veiled threats they are, but they're threats. Oh shit. The aliens have to make ship safe places. Yeah, and even in the middle of the dark ocean, there's still risk of electronic, EMP, because they're trained. We have the technology to be transdimensional now. But trans technology is what we're calling it here, and so they can just appear, I guess, and shoot them down with the EMP. Ha, gotcha. It's amazing. Steven is doing a horror. He's great at telling the a little bit of stuff here, but he's doing a horrible job as our ambassador to these aliens, who have basically said, "Good luck. We're all counting on you."
Now, at the time, I had a hint of that, but it wasn't so clear. But I said, "No, thank you." Now, most people
here's the problem, who know what I'm talking about. If they gather together somewhere with a bunch of billionaires who are carrying water for, say, a new entity for these covert programs, they're going to say, wow, really? You can put $5 billion into this, huh? Yoo-hoo! I go, sit on it, rotate.
I might clip that part. I might clip that part. Sit on it and rotate. That's what he says. That's our guy. That's the guy who's going to save planet Earth right there. Sit on it and rotate. Quote unquote, Dr. Stephen Greer. This is an epic moment in our history, in our communication. Yeah, see, he didn't take the $2 billion, Snipe. He didn't take the $2 billion when he had the chance, because even though they can do it without him, the aliens and the government themselves, Stephen still turned down the $2 billion. It was never about the money for him. Never, ever. No. Sit on it and rotate. Right. Look at Michael. He's just like aghast.
Right. That's what I said to the general. I said, no, this is a corrupt situation.
Yeah.
So excuse me for being vulgar, but no, I'm that kind of guy. I said, I'm not going to deviate from the purpose of what we're doing because you offer me 5 pieces of silver instead of 1. I'm not interested. So that is difficult because the path I've chosen is a path of relative impoverishment for my projects. Why we only have 1.5 staff members.
Yeah, that's why I only have $6.6 million. It's a relative impoverishment. Yeah, I'm so sorry you're living that. Life's tough. I'm so hard you're living hand to mouth, Stephen.
We should have 50. No office, and have been stripped bare of any real capabilities.
Because I'm not God. Yeah, no office, stripped bare. That's not intentional at all. That's people have done that to him. But they let him keep his $6.6 million. So good on them.
Willing to corrupt the purpose, you see. I'm not willing to sell out. I'm not a sellout. It's also why I refuse to take a clearance. In other words, all these meetings I've taken, I have never signed an NDA, and I will never. So I've been asked to.
They're like, okay, Stephen, calm down. You can still come in. We don't need you to sign anything. I mean, it's protocol. We all do it. It's like, but no. You're special. And now we're going to come on in and we'll do this to you. Now we're going to completely ignore you and not do a damn thing that you say. And then another 4 years will go by and you'll say the same thing again. And away we go. Or 4 to 8. Depends on how good the president is.
To be in positions where I'd have to have one. I said, I'm not interested. I'm not going to be your tool. You're not going to put me in those shackles. All right. So that's
I'm going to grift free.
Like my philosophy. Everyone has their own role in life. My role in life is to stay out of that. But I do want to tell people who are doing CE5 contact, and everyone listening should start doing it.
Do it my way.
When more people do it, here's the beauty of consciousness. 1 and 1 is equal to 10. It's not equal to 2.
What?
There is an exponential power of people coming together with a clear consciousness in this higher state of mind, in the meditative state, doing this, that actually alters the course of everyone on Earth, but it sends this beautiful signal out
a lot of responsibility
to the non-human civilizations that there are people willing to engage with them for the correct reasons, not the reasons of greed and get their technology and shoot them out of the sky and all the dysfunctional stuff that is the worst of humanity. So there's this other part of humanity that's spiritual and beautiful and forward-looking and wants to carry an ever-advancing civilization forward that isn't based on war and destruction and endless poverty and endless war. That's what the ETs are looking for. Those are the people they're looking for, right? And that you don't have to be in the U.S. government or in a covert program to do that. On the contrary, those people have to sort of totally become re-educated and have their consciousness.
Maybe we could make a camp. Maybe we could make a camp for them. Maybe we can make a camp that would help people become educated again. We can call it a re-education camp.
Totally evolved in another direction. Whereas the average person on the street is absolutely ready to do this. This is why the CE5 Contact Initiative is a grassroots. And where I kept it that way. I was advised during the years, make it a closed elite group, like these elite strike team groups, right? And do it only with a handful of elite people who think because they're rich or powerful, that they should be part of this, but the man on the street shouldn't. And I rejected that. I said, no, this needs to be something where the whole of consciousness of humanity moves in that direction of this beautiful future.
That's what the prophecy said the chosen one would refuse. That's what they said.
Dr. Greer, I have a really important question for you.
Yeah. Can I go to the bathroom, please?
I guarantee you there's people listening to this right now who are hearing you say, the ETs have drawn a red line in the sand, and if this goes much further, they're not going to put up with it, and they're going to come here and they're going to intervene. Yes, and the people hearing you saying, oh, fantastic, finally. That's exactly what we want. Yeah. That's what we've been waiting for.
Yes.
So we don't have
to accelerate.
do anything. The ETs are going to come and solve it for us. So could you please explain why we really do not want this to happen?
Mm-hmm.
No,
yeah,
please.
That intervention
because they will put
by NHI,
brain worms
it's a worst
in everybody's ears.
The very worst, because there are already predispositions in human nature to believe that would be a violent invasion, alien invasion. Go look at War of the Worlds. Go look at Independence Day.
Oh, so science fiction will dictate how we think.
Basically showing what a sort of more frontal forced disclosure by the ETs would be interpreted as. But beyond that, the whole media, not to mention the UFO world, has already been predisposed to believe that, because it's beginning in the late 50s and early 60s, once we mastered gravity control and had our own ARVs, alien reproduction vehicles, reverse engineered man-made craft, and we started doing the stagecraft, as it's called, of mutilations and abductions, blowing up villages in Africa and South America. Everything that we've disclosed about this, it has caused the human consciousness to be predisposed towards the ETs being a malevolent force coming to invade us. Now, these special forces guys coming forward are saying, no, they're absolutely not. The experiences they've had is the most beautiful. The real ET experiences are indescribably beautiful in consciousness and in heart. The problem is the general public has already been brainwashed.
It's so beautiful. It's like being on drugs and times a million, right? Like they like, what are you supposed to control? Compare this to, when they're talking like this, right? What is he trying to get to? That you're going to have some kind of like altered states of consciousness experience that makes you feel good. It's like going to the dentist, but even better. It's like, I mean, what are they trying to describe? What are they trying to entice you with? Right? It's like having 50 orgasms at once. It's like, the aliens, they touch you in places and it feels good. Now, what is he talking about? What's he trying to sell us on?
Because these psychological warfare operations,
aliens making me feel good,
that were launched in the 50s,
I want to communicate better.
65 plus years in the making. So they've had 2/3 of a century to embed in the subconsciousness of humanity that an alien present is a priori malevolent or demonic or something horrible, and they're coming to invade us. So that's all disinformation. But humans have a proclivity to believe it. Why? Because that's what we do to each other. That's what the Holocaust was. My grandmother was Cherokee.
Oh my God. Did you see how he did that? You see how he jumped from us screwing up an alien visitation or a contact scenario? He jumped from that into World of Worlds, into invasion sci-fi scenarios, into the Holocaust. Now his grandmother is a Cherokee, right? You take notes, Ross. Take notes. This is how it's done.
Look at the Trail of Tears. Talk about a Holocaust. This is man's inhumanity to man. We are already conditioned that one more powerful.
You make up a lot of assumptions for a guy who's the chosen one. You really do. I mean, you're supposed to be facilitating contact and being the guy who makes the handshakes and who introduces us and who makes contact and writes the protocols. Yet the aliens still can't communicate effectively. And now they're at the point where they might invade and it might become a fucking war. And that's the exact thing that you've been running around telling people for decades was going to happen, that you're trying to prevent. Yet you, right there, standing in front of it, who could prevent it, isn't preventing it, and is actually starting to craft the scenario where a fake alien invasion can happen that would enable the very people that you're trying to stop. Like, you're literally doing it right now. Like, you're literally becoming the villain in your own story. It's what we do.
Group interfacing with a less technologically advanced group is going to dominate them and destroy them.
Well, that was my
This has been our human collective conscious experience.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Please, please, please let the twin sister be part of this story. Like, and just say it'll just be Steven in a wig. Oh, please, Lord, please. I don't ask for much. Well, I do, but please, this too.
For thousands of years. So we're both innately predisposed to this, but on top of that, they have staged all these horrible, frightening events, which everyone from the president on down think are actually NHI.
Right.
What did he just say? What did he just say? What did you just say, Steven? One more time.
Predisposed to this, but on top of that, they have staged all these horrible, frightening events, which everyone from the president on down think are actually NHI.
Right.
Oh. You mean the ones you mean the events? You mean the one where Trump came out and said they were commercial drones and hobbyists just, flying the drones at night since the ban had been flying the drones around. Michio Kaku, guy who's hell of a lot smarter than you and more accomplished and more respected, came out and said the same thing. You know, people who actually walked it in and did the analysis and kind of broke things down and have kind of come to the same conclusions. I mean, but Trump thinks it's NHI. Really? This was before Trump came out and said things. Oh boy, that didn't age well, did it, Stephen?
Most of the special forces guys.
Don't worry, Stephen will come up with some kind of explanation for what happened.
All these special forces guys have worked in extremely narrow compartmented operations as tactical operators or whatever they were. They don't know what's going on in all these other compartments. This is the disclosure mosaic we have to put together that I'm trying to do so that there is some context to understand why
the new one or
the
old one
are that we have to fix this problem ourselves. The worst case scenario is that the NHI craft and ETs fix it, because it will, no matter how benign their intentions, it will be misinterpreted by and misportrayed.
But then it doesn't matter because they already fixed it. I think that you're just embarrassed because you haven't delivered and you want people to do things your way. And I think that you may be the bad guy in all this, Stephen. You may be the one that's holding everything back. And now I think the people that follow Stephen Greer need to start thinking about this. The bad guy might be sitting in front of us right now. All right. I'm not talking about me. I'm not talking about Michael Mazzola. He's just a pawn. All right. I'm talking about the chosen one. Who's been holding things back? Huh? Who's been holding things back? Who's been firing off zebra alerts and getting our people killed? Huh? Who has been the one the aliens have trusted all this time that has never, ever, ever gotten things right? Ever decades and decades and decades of talking about it. I think we found the problem.
By the corrupt corporate media, governments, and the secret organizations that are criminal, that this has been their long-term plan. And Werner von Braun in his deathbed said,
"Oh, you knew this was coming." The Werner von Braun story. He said on his deathbed. I say it every week. It's like I keep saying it and they don't listen to me. His assistant's one of my best friends. I'll call her right now. I got tidbits. She sent me titty pictures like a long time ago, and they look good. I mean, I got them, dude. I'm in with her like this. You know, she was on the Disclosure Project. She sat next to me at the table, put her hand on my knee. All right. So I know the whole Werner von Braun story. Von Braun, not Brown, dumbass. Von Braun, right? The man died, and then you guys made up a story about him.
The big plan that's going to happen, this was 50 years ago in 1974, and said to Carol Rosin, is that the big long-term plan is to present a threat from outer space as alien, so we can unite the world around this totalitarian, militaristic superstate. That they've spent trillions of dollars preparing people for, and we have to say no to that. So there has to be this mass human awakening to the truth about the issue as opposed to the false narrative. The big risk of disclosure at all, and I've known this for a long time, is that the minority opinion is going to be what I just said. The majority are already brainwashed to believe the worst. And this you see in comments from members of Congress.
You really don't think much of people, do you? I mean, the majority are brainwashed to think the worst, but your crew is the one that's got it all figured out, from the Messiah who doesn't deliver on the mission he's been given for freaking 40, 50 years now. How long you had this mission? 40, 50? Is it going on 50 or 60 years? For 50 years, all you've managed to do is accumulate your own wealth and have a bunch of grandchildren, 4 kids and 12 grandkids. That's what you've managed to do, and accumulate $6.6 million in net worth. That's what you've done, but you haven't helped the aliens. And if they haven't helped you, they gave you all this responsibility. They called you the chosen one. And what have you done? Well, I made an app for a phone. You made an app for a phone? I'm going on a cruise. You're going on a cruise? I made t-shirts. I got a podcast on X. You think you're making the aliens proud right now, chosen one? Do you think that's they think that's what they want? Meanwhile, the people are getting put into deep underground bases and shot down with EMPs. And you sit there and you're on a cruise drinking a margarita with a bunch of Stephen Greer cucks. Marks. Stephen Marks. Sitting around with a bunch of marks. You know, I think he's the bad guy in the story.
See this from people who are very close to the incoming administration. People like Tucker Carlson says, well, these are demons. I was recently on a podcast.
That's silly, isn't it?
For Charlie Kirk, who is a religious person, very religious person at Turning Point USA. And I was asked that question.
Why does Charlie Kirk have him on? Charlie Kirk, you ought to have me on. I won't talk about dumb shit like this. We'll talk about real stuff.
I said, let me quote Monsignor Balducci, from the senior theologian for Pope John Paul, when I was at his at the Vatican with him. And he said, neither.
Oh, he went to the Vatican with the Pope. Did you hear that, Shelley? You hear that, Shelley? You hear that? Steve has been to the Vatican with the Pope. How about that? I think he should be the first man on Mars. I really do. Him and Michael.
Angels nor demons need flying saucers.
That's right.
Right. So
silly.
People, because they all this different phenomena, plural, extra dimensional, other dimensions, NHI, ET, it all gets mixed together. But the CIA and other people who are players in this want that confusion. And in that confusion, they can drive their narrative. So, and that narrative
who would do such a thing? Who would take a confusing event and drive a narrative out of it, Stephen? Huh? Who would take an event like, say, Mania over drones in New Jersey and drive a narrative with it? That never happens. That's only happens in the movies.
It leads to what? World War III. It leads to an interplanetary conflict. And that is an extinction level event by any measure. When you're not talking about nuclear weapons, we're talking about our species trying to fight another.
So that's why we need to have our president pass imaginary executive orders about imaginary aliens and not imaginary special forces.
Well, isn't that what would happen if the ETs were to be provoked into an intervention? It's not like the people running these programs are sitting on technology that has reached parity with ETs. It's not like they wouldn't put up a fight, right? So we'd be talking about a massive battle.
We'll get through it.
Actually, they would not need to do that. They wouldn't do that. I mean, although we have assets that would make this look like what they're doing.
Got it.
Yeah.
They would simply, instantly, all these systems could be shut down. People have no idea what those capabilities are.
Then what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? You can instantly shut down the systems, and now you want our president to take time out of his day to pass one of your half-cocked executive orders you wrote yourself, Stephen, so that so some imaginary group of people can go in and turn them off themselves. I mean, when we can just turn them down, I don't understand. This is where he always messes up on these things, but people usually don't slow down enough. At this point, if you've listened to this podcast all the way through and not stopped to question the thing, you're thoroughly convinced that he knows what he's talking about and that you're like, this guy is awesome by this point, right? Him and Michael, they're like the Batman and Robin. They're going to save the world. The goddamn aliens. We got to do it. Get me on that cruise so I can talk to these aliens myself. I'll tell them, guys. But, yeah, but if you didn't slow it down and realize that, he's constantly contradicting himself, you might miss it, especially if you're a good mark and you fall for this bullshit, right?
It's people look at too much science fiction. This is not Star Trek or Star Wars, or
it sure seems like it to me.
That leave that in Hollywood, all right, in someone's basement.
I mean, dude, I've been trying to tell you that for I don't know how long, but you're the one who says they have all the technology that's in Star Trek. All right. Let's not pick on other people when you do the same thing they do. Right. Stop projecting.
Where we fabricate all this nonsense. If you want,
this is why it takes so long to get through his stuff. Every other word is a moment. It's a comedic moment. Every other word as he talks about himself. And Michael's like, yeah, there's guys. It's like, I'm working for one of them.
You understand a little bit about those capabilities.
Pays good, Michael.
If he points that match in a fraction of a second.
Pays good.
So that's not going to happen that way. What's more likely, however, is that we would then trigger our own man-made craft and creatures that are man-made to engage in all kinds of violent activity. And this they're planning to do anyway. See, this is the other.
They're planning to do it.
Long-term plan.
They're planning to do it, but we're gonna trigger that anyways. Well, rip the Band-Aid off, bro. Let's go. Bring it. Bring it on. Haven't you seen Independence Day? We'll win. Fucking Trump will get a goddamn F-22 and fly up to take care of that shit.
And has been to take all these fleets of man-made UFOs because trillions of dollars and Lockheed Skunk Works and Northrop Grumman and Raytheon and SAIC and Booz Allen Hamilton and EG&G, all these big corporate contractors for these covert NHI retrieval craft operations.
Is Jake Barber complying in a helicopter? I'll retrieve the craft. I got Ross with me. Oh no, why'd you have to bring Ross? I don't like Ross.
Over 70, 80 years, they've had massive breakthroughs beyond what you can imagine. And so that's why one of our whistleblowers, and when I was doing the briefings for Congress in 1997,
oh yeah, which one?
He was taken out of the hotel the night before the congressional meetings and taken to a secure location.
It wasn't really secure. It was the bar downstairs.
And but before that, he had met with us and said he had been on an interagency committee where they could hit a button. This was 1974. He was on this committee 50 years ago. We can hit a button, he said, and all of a sudden the skies are going to fill up with man-made ET craft, UFOs.
In 74. And 74. What are we doing here? It's 2024. Right, Roscoe. I think we figured something out about these things. The only way I can get through them in a reasonable amount of time is to speed them up. That's the only way. It's just gold. It's like it's falling from the sky, and he's a gold nugget at the moment. But he just said 74. 74. We just got a button to push. Well, won't you, instead of doing that? If it's a button can be pushed and then the skies will fill up with UFOs, really? It's in 74. Michael, even Michael's having a hard time believing this one.
No one's going to know where they are, and they can engage and start doing violent activities, and it will fool everyone in the U.S. government and every government around the world.
What the fuck are they waiting for, Stephen? Since 74, 74, 84, 94, 2004, 2014, 2024. That's 50 years. 50 years. It's been 50 years since they had that goddamn button. Why don't they push it? What's holding them back? You? 75? What's holding them back? The aliens whose ass we kick twice a year? Steal their shit?
Mind the press and the media. That's why they started right before all this, right before the new administration, they started doing all this crazy drone stuff.
That didn't age well. That didn't age well, did it?
They're sort of giving a little warning. We can start launching all kinds of stuff. And that was nothing. That was just, buffoonery by comparison. So we know what their capabilities are. I do for a fact. I've seen them. So that's the real danger, which is why, let's pivot back to a point I made a moment ago.
Okay.
It's very important that the current administration, now that they've just come into office on Monday, and the new Congress, move quickly to
hear that Trump is
to get those sort of capabilities that are human under proper control. Because if they're not, they can launch that false flag operation. Some people call it Project Blue Beam. That's not a term I've heard from any legitimate operative, by the way.
Is there a name to it that you do know of?
No. Okay. No. Excuse me. So, but
oh man,
look, if I have that information, when I have it, I share it. If you dredge this stuff off the internet, I ignore it. Remember, I have 7.
Yeah, don't only listen to Steven. Only listen to he's the chosen one. Chosen one. You're the chosen one.
165 whistleblowers I've dealt with over the years that I've debriefed.
I mean, he's basically saying it's going to be Trump's fault if the shit goes down. Where's no one? I mean, Chris Rice. I mean, no one. Where's his stock account? When does he come back here? And they're bad mouthing Trump, dude. Don't you want to talk about this?
He's gotten information from firsthand people, like the guys just coming forward. They're, and by the way, what they're sharing about, people forget, in 2001, we did the National Press Club, and we had people there who were on the retrieval teams in the 60s doing precisely what these guys were talking about having done in the 2000s. It's the same thing. So, the only difference is that group possesses, but are not yet releasing, a tranche of dispositive evidence that are located in secure sites. I don't have them. They didn't want me to have them because they thought I'd be killed. They're very sweet. They honestly feel that if I possess that, I'd be dead.
We can't let them kill the chosen one.
And I appreciate that. I mean, people, there's a real sweetness. Some of them, they've been very hardened guys. A lot of them have PTSD and other things from their careers.
Like, we love you, Stephen. We don't want anything to happen to you, so we can't let you have it. He's like, oh my God, you guys are so sweet. Is there anything I can do for you? I mean, I'm to you. I mean, we're all supposed to be getting along here and learning to love each other, So he said, there's a very sweet guys. They're so sweet. They want to make sure I don't get hurt.
But they're actually incredibly
protect the chosen one
to me, and they've been very kind in many ways.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate that. I'm not trying to blow off the risk of that, because look, I mean, they do have wet work assassination teams. They go after people that have something that's too hot. And what I was told by those guys, we don't want you to hold this hot potato. It's too dangerous.
Yes, Stephen. Yeah, I know you would. I mean, but he's the chosen one.
Round this out.
He's the chosen one. He should hold the hot potato. I mean, the aliens picked him to hold the hot potato. So why is he holding the hot potato? I mean, he's a hot potato guy. He's not the egg guy, right? At least he's not the hot egg guy. He's a hot potato guy. Give him the hot potato. Let's go. Enough of this bullshit. He's got work to do. He's the chosen one. Damn it.
I have one last question.
Sure.
Just to give clarity to people about CE5. Has anybody ever been injured or harmed in any way during a CE5?
Mm-hmm. Oh no! I mean, one of the interesting things is if you're a special forces operator,
I've seen scanners. I know what can happen.
Very narrowly construed.
Remember scanners?
You're not going to know the whole, constellation of what's going on. You're not, because you're not going to be. No one has that kind of all access clearance. I've had to put that all together by debriefing nearly 1,000 whistleblowers. Right?
Oh, really? Debriefing? You couldn't talk to the aliens in your fucking protocol? What is it? Does he forget sometimes he knows how to do this shit? I don't know. Can you just go to a dark spot and bring him in and have a conversation? I don't understand why it's so difficult.
And being in facilities and seeing these things over 35 years. So,
Kelly,
no, and in fact, the injuries that have happened have all been done at the hands of man-made technologies masquerading as alien. Or you don't know what it is. You're out there to pick something up. Now, there are a lot of people who have had terrible injuries. I don't diminish Cash Landrum, those poor victims from that event in the 80s. Where, there was that
buddy. I tried to get
craft that was
11,
ET in origin, but had a nuclear power plant on it.
Hold on. It gets all tired. He starts yawning and stuff. And I really tried to ring it in before 11, but when you got discipline, and that's the way it goes. That's how you get shit done in this world, man. That's how you get shit done in this world. But I appreciate you being here and all you do. And just please allow me to figure out and play out of here.
Hey, buddy, you tired?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't keep your eyes open?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been nodding off a little bit?
Yeah.
It's okay, buddy.
Yeah.
If you want to go to sleep, you go ahead, go to sleep.
All right, have a good one, bud. Have a good one. Get that beauty sleep. Off we go.
That malfunction. I was spewing radioactive waste on Cash Landrum, his little 5-year-old boy, and his mom and his aunt. That event was a total man-made. But covert programs were very happy for the UFO echo chamber of people with no knowledge to say it was alien. Well, it wasn't. There were 4 human pilots on that. And it was a man-made plutonium thing. So what people need to realize is that whether it's a violent abduction, a mutilation, human experimentation, animal mutilation, human mutilations, these are all being done by humans. Anyone who's had actual contact with the ETs, NHI consciousness, including these special forces guys, they speak of it in the opposite direction.
He just said something truthful. I totally almost missed it. He just said something truthful. All this shit's being done by humans. You mean all the setups, all the fakes, everything that we think that everybody thinks it's an alien is humans? Really? Wow. Maybe he is a chosen one.
Now, on the other end of it, so let me put this in perspective. I have been doing CE5 contact for 51 plus years.
You still haven't gotten shit done.
Never been injured. Never had a bad experience. Mm-hmm. I have been on expeditions with thousands of people that I've led all over the world. We've had the most beautiful experiences. No one's ever been injured. But there are many, many people who've been healed. You look at the CE Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind movie, and Ed Moen. He had since he was a teenager. No, he couldn't hear at all, barely, even with hearing aids. And when we had that contact with the ET, we can put this picture of up called the Healer. And then he continued to connect to that being throughout the night. He woke up the next morning.
The Healer. What is this? What are we looking at here? It's the Healer. He probably brought some receipts. Good Lord. What are we looking at here? That's the Healer, guys. That's the Healer. That's definitely not someone shining something off a cloud. That's the Healer. What is he going to do?
Because he didn't go there to be healed. He was there sincerely as an ambassador. We call these.
What's the Healer doing? Hold on. What's up with the Healer? This is the Healer? Healer.
Called the Healer.
Hold on. What does it mean to call the Healer?
Hearing aids. And when we had that contact with the ET, we can put this picture of up called the Healer. And then he continued to connect to that being throughout the night. He woke up the next morning totally healed because he didn't go there to be.
So I guess this is a person and this is an alien. Oh, I see now. Guys, get in here. Get in here. Get in here. get in here and let's take a look at this beautiful thing. Do you see the little fingers? You see the little fingers right there? Little fingers. There's the guy. I guess this is the guy with the hearing aids that's have problems. This little fingers right there. It's like some kind of coat and a big head. I don't know. I'm trying to healer.
He was there.
I don't know. Is he looking back at us or is he looking down? I can't tell. But are these little fingers and little wings? What is this? What a ridiculous construction for an advanced human. I mean, advanced being. What's the healer doing?
As an ambassador.
He's an ambassador. He's an ambassador. Ambassadors get healed. Okay, so are these supposed to be little legs here?
Called the healer.
That's the healer. What's up with all these lights over here?
Then he continued to connect to that being throughout the night. He woke up the next morning totally healed because he
woke up totally healed. I can hear. You sure that's not Jesus?
He didn't go there to be healed. He was there sincerely as an ambassador.
Oh, I'm sure.
These people,
I'm sure.
I'm sure. But at the end of the night, he had to go to bed, and it became this beautiful red light sphere. And he asked, "Could you do something with my? I just can't hear what Dr. Greer's saying and what the group's saying." The next morning, he woke up completely healed. Now, I can tell you a dozen stories like that more over the years. So far from being
really
injured, the CE5 participants have often, not that they're going there for that ulterior selfish purpose, but they often
say the chosen one is performing miracles.
Well, if they're in a pure enough heart and they make that connection with ETs, they will have extraordinary hearing. I mean, we're talking people with. I had one man who had multiple back surgeries, chronic debilitating back pain for all of his adult life. And we were in the circle doing the meditation.
That
with this beautiful ET vehicle that transdimensionally enveloped us. And that
transdimensional envelopment of ET vehicles. You were there? What the hell? You should have led with that. You hear that, Shelly? All you got to do is download the CE5 app and start connecting with the aliens and they'll heal you. How about that?
Back problems. We had a member of our team who had a really bad knee. And one night after we'd been out, it was a couple years ago in Joshua Tree, and she was in her room after we had our post CE5, what we call conviviality and bebidas, and we have our.
That's when you get really high and everybody screws.
I call it our circle of love and dysfunction, where we have a little party at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. You know this.
Yes.
It's my call. I mean, I like to have fun. If you don't have fun doing.
Yes. Now you see the full circle emerging here. Chosen one's got to have his fun too. Chosen one's got to have a good time. Chosen one likes to feel good and help other people feel good too. You know, that's always the end game with the New Age cult, isn't it? Everybody come worship me. I bring the party, right? Well, I hope we didn't get out a goddamn guitar and start singing.
Doing this next. You're done.
I get my guitar out and I start playing some songs, you know.
And so she, late at night, she said, there had been earlier that night these two ETs. You can see a picture of it. It looked like these conehead ETs sitting in our chairs. We'd gone inside because it was so cold. It was like 18 degrees in Joshua Tree.
Stephen and Michael and
so that night at the end, she said she connected to in consciousness telepathically to those ETs and said, "God, my knee is really killing me." And all of a sudden, there were 3 beautiful blue spheres that were outside her patio door from her room, and they came in. And then she was almost like put in sort of a peaceful anesthesia. And she said she just laid down and went to sleep. And when she woke up the next morning, they had done some kind of work on her knee and it was totally fixed. So I could tell you the story.
How did you know? Because they were like behind her ears. I mean, look, I didn't go to sleep like this, but I woke up and they were way over here.
We don't have enough time to tell you all these stories.
I had too much.
And so I just
cosmic punch last night.
I was supposed to die in 1996 and 97. I had an electronic warfare system put a terrible, aggressive metastatic cancer on me. And I was healed. I mean, well, I'm still here.
How do you know it wasn't a goddamn electronic warfare thing?
It was the deadliest of all known cancers at the time back then.
But you did it because you survived. As the prophecy said, that the chosen one will survive the metastatic cancer, the most deadly of the time. Right? That's what the prophecy said, and that's why he's the chosen one. The guy, they call him the one who never got anything done. Chosen one. Yeah, that's the one.
But so I tell people, we're here for a reason. And we do this without fear, and we do it for the right reason. And we have to free our mind from the commingling of the false narratives of fear and injury from the truth. And the truth of dealing with NHI, ET civilizations, their craft is very beautiful. But because most people don't have enough information to distinguish between the man-made ones and the NHI craft and people.
Because they don't want to know what the other ones look like. man-made ones in the NHI. Nobody knows what an NHI craft looks like, Stephen. This is your dilemma. I think this is the moment you need to really have a moment of clarity for yourself and realize that people don't know. Well, first of all, they don't see either one. Okay, so that's the thing. People don't see either one. But honestly, nobody knows what NHI craft look like. So if we have man-made ones, if they're getting confused, which they're not because they're not really there, and you're making all this up. But if they were, say in your mind, your scenario mind, your fantasy logic isn't working out because the people don't understand what they don't understand what an NHI is or looks like. So they can't compare anything else they see to that. So they're going to think that it's something they've never seen before because they've never seen it before. Okay. They can't be like, no, that's a man-made version. That hubcap has pipes on it. You know, like remember last episode when Steven disclosed his flying saucer hubcap pictures? Remember that? And then he had the other one when he uses these documents with the president. It said flying saucer illustration with pipes hanging off of it, like stove pipes, like plumbing pipes. It's so stupid.
People, they're going to be completely deceived. And this is what the purpose of this
I don't think we're that dumb.
Is to provide that perspective, that information, that knowledge, and ultimately the wisdom of saying, okay, how do we go from where we are now in this very broken world and create a new world? And I want to end with this interesting thing. You know, one of the little clips that they let out was this craft that looked like an egg. And that's a very well-known shape, by the way. It's not the only one. There are hundreds of different craft and shape and sizes.
Oh, he's going for it. He's going for it. What's he going to do? He's going to co-opt this now. All right, let's make predictions. This is the last thing we're doing tonight. All right, let's make predictions. How is Steven? Now, we're very educated at this point, right? And for the people that are still here, hanging out, digging on this, learning shit, you know, awesome, man. Good on you. Thanks for hanging, man. We're almost done here. We'll be done in the next 10, 15 minutes, right? Promise you. I won't keep making you laugh, right? But we're trying to help Steven. That's really what I'm doing. All right, so he brought up the NewsNation footage. This is his moment to capitalize on things. So the egg is back. Yes, that's right. And Roscoe, in case you missed it, that's the egg. That's the one we're talking about here. Eggman is Jake Barber. Ross Coulthart is his grifter. And this whistleblower is supposedly being shared between, he was Steven's whistleblower at first, and now he's Ross's whistleblower, and we don't know what's going on because they never mentioned Steven on the other channel. I think by now they'd mentioned Steven since he's so important and he's a chosen one. Anyways, let's hear what he's going to do. He said it's a very known shape. I think somehow he's going to retroactively fit this into his narrative, but his goal here is to own this, right? And to make it his. Let's see what he does.
And they're not very big, 20, 30 feet.
20, 30
Some are
feet.
bigger.
You get about enough to fit Robin Williams into.
And back in 1978, and I was in the Middle East, and I had this most amazing lucid precognitive dream, because I tend to have dreams of the future that are crystal clear.
Yeah,
and when I have one like that, I know it's real. And I was much older, and it was in the future. And I was at a place that looked like white sands, although at that time I'd never been there.
Only I had
really
more
white
hair.
sand, but it's not actually sand. It's feldspar. I forget what the mineral is. And at that time, the entire U.S. government and military had been transformed from the sword attacking these craft to a force making peaceful contact, doing CP5, but with the full support of the military and the government.
And all I had to do was shove one of these eggs
blue sky with all the cameras of the world filming it. I was there with a team, a diplomatic team, and an egg-shaped, you can't believe this, an egg-shaped craft descends from the blue sky, materializes, comes down, comes and hovers right there, and an ET elder comes out.
It says, nano.
In a open event like that, that was not the military shooting them down and capturing them, but a true, peaceful, ambassadorial contact.
Yeah, he's kind of silly. He had like a red, silver triangle and a red suit. He's kind of silly. We all liked him. He's a funny guy. Funny guy. He's like, nano.
Well, he looked like not too different from us, but very,
like
very.
Robin Williams.
Now, this could have been my young boy. Well, I was 22.
He's describing Robin Williams. I mean, Robin Williams doesn't look too different from us either, but he definitely looks different,
This could have been some of me extrapolating on it just to make it relatable, right? When you get these conscious, The only thing that's completely pure in consciousness is God and the supreme being, certainly not me. But to the best of my recall, it was like a old man Moses or some depiction of like that, but a very ancient.
Oh, they might have got the one where the child came down. What was his name? I can't remember him. He's probably long dead by now. But remember when Mork and Mindy had a kid and it was an old man? That was really stupid and disgusting, kind of.
And then some kind of a tunic or robe that came out. But
an old man acting like a baby. That was not. What were we doing back there? How did we like that?
It's a very senior spiritual and ambassador from these civilizations, and
it
was like literally the whole world was seeing this.
Jonathan Winters.
So I share that vision to say perhaps we're at this inflection point with all the madness and misunderstanding
and the egg was meant
lack of direction that we can go from where we are now, which is very fraught and dangerous, to that. And that's the vision.
Looks like your little ambassador got shot down, and old Jake Barber and the crash retrieval team took care of that garbage for you. Goodbye, vision.
The vision that's the vision that has to guide the world. I think we have to
really the shot down egg. It should have just been like laying out like a yolk or something.
It's that beautiful future, not a dystopian future of endless conflict with scary aliens, because that's not what it is.
Thank you, Dr. Greer. And you opened this podcast by talking about your original book, Contact.
Yep.
I can't urge people strongly enough to read this. You might be thinking, oh, it's 30 years old, it's out of date, it's irrelevant. The truth is, you can accumulate all the data and all the sightings that you want, but if you don't have a worldview and a framework and context to interpret that data,
you won't buy the rest of the shit that we're selling you.
Fooled, you're gonna keep reaching the wrong conclusions. And that book, more than anything else, gave me the framework to understand what's happening now. Almost 30 years after you wrote it. So I can't recommend it strongly enough to everybody.
Right. Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll be doing these every week.
That's how Michael gets his pay. That's how Michael gets his pay, man. He's got to sell that merch, dude. Sell that merch, Rhodey. Sell it, Rhodey. Sell it. You better sell it, Rhodey. Oh, man. Jesus.
Oh, and sometimes more when there's breaking news that I need to address. So share this with everyone in your network, because this is how we get the word out. I appreciate everyone's support. And if you want to do a deep dive on more of this information, you can go to dpiarchive.com. It's the Disclosure Project Intelligence Archive. It's got years of study in there. There's so much in there. But you'll be amazed if you start poking through that, how much you're going to uncover.
Yeah, I bet.
Right. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Stephen. I mean, the chosen one, y'all, the chosen one. All hail the chosen one. We did it. We made it through another podcast, and boy, that was a juicy one. Let me go ahead and get rid of this so I can get myself back in a dog mode. There we go. All right. Wow. What a load of crap. I mean, come on, dude. He needs to be a better communicator. I think we covered everything tonight in detail. I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. Tomorrow I'll be on air early in the morning doing the Kash Patel, who's still alive and well. Kash Patel congressional with the hearing thing, the thing we do every day. I'm sorry, it's getting tired. That takes a lot of energy, but it's a lot of fun energy, And I'm also looking around for places to send us, because I'm getting ready to close shop now. I feel like I'm sending things to Gary and Valhalla all the time, but just Gary. Why not? If I'm too late, I'm too late. It started at 8:01. He might still be going. I don't know. Is Gary still going? Am I going to send somebody to an off-air freaking cast again? I wish I could send you guys over to Carjitsu. That's live right now. I don't know why they let people redirect there. I'm breaking military helicopter collides with regional jet near Reagan Airport. That sucks. Kash Patel, 9 a.m. We'll be here because I believe his thing starts at 9:30. So 9 a.m. Next news is still going, so that's where we're headed. Let me set up the Rumble. There we go. Yep, he's still. Oh, Gary's covering the plane crash. All right. So if you guys want to go there and get that take, man, this is gonna be the time to do it. I'm gonna send you over to a cool dude, and you guys will have a good old time in the hot town tonight. But yeah, we're gonna keep going down the rabbit hole. Sunday, I'll probably have some more stuff for you if I'm not burnt. we're going to head on out, guys. So more of this rabbit hole stuff, we're going to keep on it because it just keeps getting better and better. And the great thing about it is this never ends. It never ends because it never has and never will. And if it does, then we'll be surprisingly beautifully amazed. And that'll be fun too, right? But in the meantime, we can have a lot of fun picking apart a good old fashioned grifter, good old country grifter out there, and the other, hack grifters that are out there trying to be what they cannot be. And that is Stephen Greer, the chosen one. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you as always. Thank you for being part of the solution and joining me. I will see you bright and early in the morning for Cash Patel. And until that time, y'all, stay based and keep. Oh, I got to do this right. Stay based and stroll up and keep on winning.